Welcome to Paperweights, the podcast where two self-proclaimed gym rats and shooting enthusiasts delve into the world of literature with a sprinkle of humor. Although their biceps could crush a walnut, don't let that intimidate you. They also have a nerdy side. Mike and Brandon have a voracious appetite for reading, particularly in the fantasy genre, and they want to share their passion with you. So grab your protein shake and your favorite novel and join us for a humorous and insightful journey into the world of books with Paperweights.
Welcome back to another episode of the Paperweights. I'm your host, Brandon.
And Justin.
Justin, how has this week been?
Week's been pretty good. The reading's been good.
The reading's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially the end.
Yes.
Those last two chapters were fantastic. And I even really enjoyed the interludes.
Yeah. It was hard to stop reading, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. And like reading on my Kindle, it's just like I just read I'll read a chapter and I tend to stop at chapter break, use chapters as breaks. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. I'll read 5 chapters. And then, like, I don't even know how long or how many I have left, really. I'm just like, okay, I got to get to the interludes or the end of the part. And it crept up with me this week pretty quickly. So even though there was a lot of chapters, it's pretty heavy section.
It is a long book, but it's been good. It's crazy that it's already in November.
Yeah, right?
October seemed to just fly by.
Yeah. So real quick, I had something to say about October, but real quick, we are sponsored. Our sponsor is Mudcat Whiskers. They're a beard care product company, local to Louisiana. So you can visit them. You can visit them in person this month at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival. He's got a booth set up there. I think next to the Rose and Crown pub. So wherever that is, whenever you get there, if you go there, you can look at the map and find out where that is. But if you don't want to go visit in person, you're not in Louisiana, you can go visit him on his website, www.mudcatwhiskers.com. Use code Paperweights at checkout to save yourself 15% and get your beard looking majestic.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, October. Christy and I last Friday started to watch the Friday the 13th movies because we never really watched any of them. They were all on Paramount Plus, and we've got a basic Paramount Plus subscription that comes with Walmart Plus. So if you have Walmart Plus and you didn't know it, then you have the basic Paramount Plus subscription for streaming. And we decided we'll watch the first one. It's like, okay, that was pretty good. Let's watch the second one. We watched the second one. It was like, hey, we might as well just watch them all. They're on there. But last night we went to go watch the 7th one, and Paramount Plus have removed all but the first 3 from their platform. So that was the end of our watch through of Friday the 13th movies.
You didn't feel like renting them each for like $3?
No, it's not that serious. But I've ranked the first 6 to be order of goodness: 1, 6, 2, 4, 5, then 3.
Which is the one where he fights the psychic little girl?
I think we haven't watched that one, so
okay.
I think that was 7.
That was pretty funny.
I think that was the one we were going to watch last night. Because one of the taglines on it was like telekinetic.
Yeah.
So We didn't get around to that. However, was it five? The fifth one had Crispin Glover. No, no, the fourth one had Crispin Glover in
Nice.
it and Corey Feldman. The first one has Kevin Bacon in it, and I didn't even know that. So, um,
Kind of like how Nightmare on Elm Street has Johnny Depp.
right, yeah, yeah. I always forget that, but
Yeah. Speaking of things getting off of streaming and stuff, that's why I go physical media.
hey, look at that.
Yeah. All of Dexter for like $40. So
Yeah, I have.
you can get a lot of shows for really cheap if like you just want to watch one show. It's like which uh is an option that I've used a lot for stuff.
Yeah,
It
I
never
do that
goes away.
sometimes. Do that sometimes, but
Yeah. Also, Amazon is decent amount. Like buying it digitally, you can get like a season for like I don't know, $15 or something, which isn't great, but it's better than it going away for good.
yeah, well, but also the buying it on Amazon, you're still just buying the rights to stream it.
True.
So you could lose the rights to stream it
Well, not if you buy it.
at any point. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, all right. So this week's reading, awesome stuff happens. We finally get to meet the big bad evil guy. Um,
It may not be so evil.
yeah, maybe not. He considers himself to be Passion. He thinks his name is a misnomer.
Yeah,
Um,
which makes sense.
yeah. So, without getting into too much detail, let's say keep it 5 words or less. How did you feel about meeting Odium? Like what when you met him, what happened in your emotions and feelings?
I was like, cool. I mean, that's one word. I think it was cool and necessary because we needed more context on the big bad because we really haven't gotten any. We've got a lot now. We got context of the fuse, and we got a context of more context on Odium, which you kind of need. 3 books in. Really, this is the first book with him as the antagonist, so it was good to meet him.
Yeah, when he showed up at the end of that chapter, I just went ooh, and Christy was like near me, and she just kind of looked at me like, "What?" It was like something exciting happened.
Though I do wish Lyft would have talked to him because I like their conversation.
Oh yeah. So, all right, let's get into the epigraphs real quick.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
I'll say my piece. They didn't mean anything to me, so I was like, yeah, whatever. These are one of the more useless epigraphs I've read.
yeah, they don't have too much.
There was like a person on a planet, and I looked up the planet, and I was like, "This is the planet from the epigraph." I was like, "Cool, all right, that has nothing." It's like she's getting powerful on this planet. I was like, "Okay, well, is that one of the planets I know about?" And it's like, "No." All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so there's essentially 3 letters. Um, and apparently Hoyd or Wit, he has another name, Cephandrius.
Is that his name?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are being written to Hoyd. Um, they are, from what I gather, they are all shards, different shards on different planets, and they're responding to him, asking for help to deal
No, we
with
no, we
Odium.
need we need an interlude of the messenger traveling between worlds. Just he's like, yeah, I'm just the messenger that just travels to the shards. All right, bye.
Maybe it's Hoyd himself.
Well, they
But
wouldn't need
then,
to write a letter.
yeah, then why would he write a letter? But
And
um, yeah, so I don't have any context for um
anything.
the names of the certain people. Now I know um so they do mention Aona and Sky, which I'm pretty sure are the shards that were on well, one of them, I think Aona was a shard that was on the planet that Elantris took place on. Um the There is one a shard which I figure out well you would know who it is from Mistborn. Um
Okay.
it's it
Starts
is
with
a
a starts
spoiler.
starts with a letter in the later half of the alphabet.
Um
I mean,
maybe.
is it Sazed?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh so sorry if nobody's read um Mistborn, um but yeah, so somebody seems to be having trouble, but one wants to like we learn a little bit more about Hoyd and the fact that he looks like he had the opportunity to become a god and take one of the shards, but did not, but has an ulterior motive, but knows all of those people that ended up taking shards. So we don't know what his motives are.
So
Uh,
Hoyd doesn't have a shard. He's not a god, but he's like a god. He's like I don't
he's
know.
immortal through investiture, but he does not have a shard.
Honestly, all the shard stuff is kind of dumb. It needs to either get explained or just stop showing up. That's kind of my thing. I don't care about any of these letters. They're so dumb.
Well, yeah.
Like that's just my thing. Like just make it either a plot point in this book or just don't or like show up. Like have like a interlude where Hoy's like writing this letter and thinking about composing it and stuff or like reading it and stuff. I don't know, just it's just like random words of like, ooh, this may or may not be important 3 books from now, but has nothing to do with anything right now. That's
But
what the other two are about. I don't care. I
see,
just don't care.
all right, let me counter you here. I think they do have a point in these books, even though we don't know who these other people are. It's to help build up like how bad Odium is supposed to be. And the fact that Odium has already killed at this point three of the other gods, um,
Yeah.
shards. And so it's supposed to set up how dangerous he is. Um, and then like me, I would wonder like, okay, well, if he's so dangerous, why isn't he doing more? But then when Dalinar meets him, we find out he and through these letters that he is confined. He's shackled up and he's bound to some type of oath.
Yeah.
Um, so that leads to asking more questions to read more and find out more and build interest. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're completely useless.
I think they're just poorly done, in my opinion.
Eh,
Like, and yeah, like their thing I read, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and I just totally put it out of my mind because it has nothing to do with anything. That's what the other two Hoyd letters were. Where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Nothing's come of those Hoyd letters. I guess this is one of the other like consequences of them. But like give me like a Hoyd like shard conference or something in the interludes where we get like this debate or whatever, or Hoyd like trying to like be like I don't know, just I want it to be more active than just this random just letters that honestly share so little that and they don't put it at the end, which we've said before that they should do. Like forget even what they were talking about when between the things. So it's just like cool fluff, and it is cool. Like I don't get me wrong, it is cool, but ultimately to me, until they start to matter, it's just cool fluff that is ultimately pointless.
Yeah, you have to really be like, for me, I'm deeper into wanting more of the Cosmere because I've read more of it, and so like I've reread a whole lot of it. And so especially like in era two of Mistborn, like it opens up a whole lot more connection between things. So you understand more of that connection, more of these tidbits that are put here and there in some of the other books. Um,
Yeah. Or if it was like at the end, it was like, all right, I'm coming to Roshar or something like that. Like if there was like actionable stuff happening, like, oh, okay, maybe we'll have another shark bear on Roshar. Blah, 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 like it would be kind of cool. But right now, it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm talking about Odium, he's bad or whatever. Yeah. We already knew he was bad from the first one.
it also, and I may have made this point, but it also gives us an idea of like what Hoyd has been doing other than just disappearing, making random telling random stories and being suspicious.
I don't know what he's been doing, honestly.
Yeah. So,
This hasn't brought anything.
well, I'm just saying he's been writing letters to people asking them for help.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So that it tells us that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we could totally, I'm sure Brandon Sanderson could give us a whole lecture on um,
I
Hoyd and the World Hoppers.
might have to look at it. I wonder if he has talked about his purpose for these things, for the epigraphs, like in like each book. Because I'm curious what, yeah, I mean, they're there for a reason. They do serve some sort of purpose, like you said. I just don't think they're the best, but I'm curious what he would say.
Yeah,
Like some of them are really good. Like the listener songs, like the Words of Radiance ones were really good. It's just mainly the letters and some of the other ones, like the death ones were cool. Like they didn't really mean anything, but they were more like world building. Like, ooh, it's these like death words. Oh, that's really cool. I want to learn more about that. Um, and then you ultimately do and stuff like that. It's just these letters. I'm just like, ugh.
but also, so think about this. Like you mentioned up the death rattles. So how many times have you read a book? Like, what if those death rattles didn't exist in the epigraphs of in Way of Kings, but you get to the part where it reveals that Taravangian was torturing people to death and then recording those death rattles,
Yeah.
and you go, oh man, I want to know what some of those death rattles were. You know,
Yeah. Well, the thing
it
is, the death rattles really work because one, like they're interesting. Two, you got the reason why they existed in the book they were in, which has not happened yet here. Maybe it will the rest of the book. We don't know. But and also like you had death rattles happen in the chapters, like when that Bridgman died and like said some crazy stuff. So oh my god, like it was really cool. Like it all tied together. So far, which we have like a billion pages left, but so
we're
far
only
it
like
hasn't.
47% of the way.
Yeah. So far it hasn't. Like if some of them show up or if Floyd starts like a conference or like, oh, I've been getting all these letters like talks to Dalinar about it or something like that. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna tie into itself and it's gonna like. But right now, just kind of like, whatever. That's kind of my thing. Like that's cool, but I don't remember anything that happens in them other than they say like, Odium's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean,
Like
I'll
there,
say it's fun, especially when that third letter in this section. If you've read Mistborn, you're like, oh hey, you know, if you remember what happened in Mistborn, how that letter is talked about, you go, oh, okay, it's this person. Oh, now we know there's a connection, and that kind of tells you, okay, that story has happened at this point. So you kind of also see that timeline with the Cosmere. But you have to be invested in the Cosmere
yeah.
to
Even
really care. So
even I did not get that. So that's it. So I guess you can bring it up when it pops up in the chapters.
Do what?
You can bring it up when it pops up in the chapters because I didn't catch that.
Oh, the Mistborn connection?
Yeah.
Oh, um, well, it just was it do do do. Essentially, it just said, I am finding that the powers I hold are in such conflict that the most simple of actions can be difficult.
Hmm.
So, if you know what happened in Mistborn, then you could see how somebody has powers that are conflicting. So,
Sure. Yeah. Hmm.
uh,
Cool.
but anyway, we can move on.
We got billion chapters.
Yes, chapter 33.
A lecture. We get Shalon. Dude, it's crazy. It's like, oh yeah, this is when she finds out that Yasna's alive. 'Cause I've read so many pages where Yasna's alive.
Right.
Yeah.
When I opened up my notes, I was like, oh, that happened at the beginning of this section?
Yeah. So Shalon's still recovering from her fight with Rashafir, the Midnight Mother. She's learns that Yasna. She has not seen Yasna yet. Because Yasna is like doing other stuff.
No, she
Um,
came into the room at the end of part one.
it says like she hasn't seen her, right? Thought it was. Yeah, whatever.
I think it says she hasn't seen her for X number of days,
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
but literally at the end of the last part, it said
Yeah,
Yasna and others walked into the room.
yeah.
So,
Basically, they talk, but then she's been kind of. That's right. She's been kind of not seeing her a lot lately, because Yasna's been doing other stuff. She wants to know how Yasna survived. It's a little anticlimactic to how she survived because she got like because it's basically like Stormlight heals, but it's kind of Stormlight's weird because it can like heal you from like instant death or like being stabbed straight through like the heart. You can just heal it. So I guess as long as you have some sort of brain function, you can heal. Um, let's see what else happened. They're investigating the jewel crust pillar that they found in the fight with Rashafir. They're trying to figure out how it works. They think it's a fabrial, but they're not sure. Let's see. Yeah, Shalon is on kind of like not. She's rebelling against the authority. She doesn't want to just become Yasna's ward again. She's had too much freedom, and she's done too much stuff to kind of just go back to Yasna's freedom or Yasna's ward, the shackles that it has. So she's like not doing her job with Yasna, and there's like a lot of back and forth with that. Um, yeah, she basically what it seems like how Yasna survived. She like healed herself with Stormlight and then kind of shifted into Shadesmar. And then she says it took a while to find like a place to get out of Shadesmar. Apparently, like you need to find like a thinning of the veil between two worlds. Um, yeah, it's kind of it. Yasna's like, I missed too much. The world has passed me by.
yeah,
That's kind of what
I
happened.
I think it's funny how Shalon like is like, man, Yasna's just so beautiful. Like she's like, yeah, I'm not really attracted to women, but man, she is just beautiful. So Shalon just has a thing for the Cohens,
Yeah,
except for Renarin, but they're apparently all good looking people. I mean, except for Dalinar, but we know that Dalinar's got a nice butt. So
me too.
um,
That is canonical.
yes, it is very canonical. Um,
And Dalinar is like rugged. So if you like rugged people,
I mean, look, like MMA dudes with cauliflower ear and like fucked up faces. I don't know, chicks like that. So
yeah, like the scars. Yeah,
But yeah, I really liked the little reunion that we had there. And it made me um want more of the expose of finding out what Yasna knows. And um so yeah.
Mhm.
There was a funny one last thing. There was a funny thing where like Shalana was a found when she found out that Fabrils were powered by Spren captured in gemstones. She was like, "Oh my God, why would want to do that?" And Yasna was like, "Well, there are Spren and there are Spren." Um, so
Yeah,
I think that's gonna we're gonna see a whole lot more of that Spren capturing for sure.
definitely, because it kind of powers the entire world.
Yeah.
Powers the Parshendi, it powers the Fabrials. It's pretty crazy. All right, chapter 34, Resistance. It's a Dalinar Kholin chapter. He's in a vision. Uh, he he gets Queen Finn into the vision. This is the vision, the first one we saw in Way of Kings, where like he was that farmer guy and fought with like the poker, and like the two radiants came down and like saved him and stuff. Uh, he is one of the radiants, and he's flying without his shard plate. We get a little more expose on shard plate. It seems like it is a oath that you get your plate. Um, and also like he you can't use it and be lashed. We already knew that, but now it's confirmed again. Um, so I'm curious what book, or if it's going to be this book where we get shard plate. But it's probably something different considering they don't scream when they're touched, because what, I'm pretty sure Dalinar's been in plate. No, actually, has any? I think he has. I think he said they don't scream when they.
Renarin is definitely
Yeah,
one, right?
Radarin's in plate. Yeah.
And he
So
didn't
yeah,
freak out.
yeah. So there's something different with it. Curious what that distinction is going to be. Um. Then they basically find the queen. She's been like organizing the people to fight resistance and like do stuff. She likes kind of hearing Dalinar's like real voice. He's been too diplomatic, and that's going against his character. And he made her more wary because it's like he's obviously kind of trying to trick her with this language. Um,
You're being
he's
too diplomatic, and I don't trust you because it's out of your character, even
like
though you're trying to be better.
you're like a tyrant and a warmongering, alcoholic, at least probably for all she knows. Yeah, it makes sense. But she's basically gonna start thinking about allying with us, but it hasn't happened yet. Okay, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I thought it was really funny when the Stormfather was like, you can ask people questions, but if you dig too deep, they'll get confused and not give you much information.
We only had a budget for certain dialogue options. Go through their tree, they're just gonna stand there blankly. They might T-pose.
These NPCs have very limited.
He basically gets no clip, so you can like, I'm gonna teleport over here, and it like breaks the thing a little bit too. It really
Yeah.
is funny.
Um, yeah, it is interesting that so anybody that is shown the vision actually has to take a role. Um, it'd be weird if every person in the vision, like if you brought the number of people into the vision that the vision contained characters, like what would happen if they're all like, you know what? No, we're gonna do something else. The vision would still happen. Um, But yeah, this one he starts to get traction. I really like that. Um, I put this quote here, but I didn't make any comment. Didn't add any context for it. But a mandate from God, the very same argument that bureaucracy used for seizing control of the government. Um, I feel like that's something that Finn told Dalinar.
Yeah, she's basically like, if you're, do you think that these visions are from the Almighty, then you have like a duty from God to unite us. You're gonna like conquer anyone who doesn't, want to. Like same thing like the bureaucracy did. They're like, oh, we need to send everybody underneath God. Um,
Gotcha.
that
Yeah,
would
that
be
makes sense. We do get the name of somebody, Harkalen, Harkalen. Um, is essentially when it was at the beginning of the vision when Dalinar said his visor won't go down. Uh, sorry, I just song lyrics came into my head. Then the Radiant's like, what are you talking about? You don't have your visor on. And he mentioned something about, hey, you'll see Harkalen later. And I just imagine like from Mando, the Mandalorian, the chick that uh the armorer chick that smiths the Beskar armor.
yeah,
I just like pictured her when it was mentioned. I was like, oh, okay, that's the role of that character.
yeah,
Yeah, fun chapter. Um, it's good to see that Dalinar finally has the support of somebody other than Taravangian, who we know already was at odds. Like he's not being completely truthful with Dalinar, so we as the reader are like, okay, there's going to be tension between the two of them. Um, but to get somebody else on board, it's fun.
yeah, yeah. She's not quite on board yet, but it's leaning that way. Got a little got some more rounds of negotiation to go through.
Well, she's
It can,
more open to it. Like she's
yeah,
like, all right, I'm gonna talk to you now. As long as you don't pull that diplomatic shit, just be your asshole self because that's who you are, and I know you're not trying to trick me when you're that way.
yeah, man. All right, we get chapter 35, First Unto the Sky. We get this is the first of a series of Bridge 4 member chapters,
I
POVs.
really do like these chapters
Yeah, they're fun.
because we get to learn more, and from the point of view of these Bridge 4 characters that we've come to love. And so we get to see their emotions and their feelings and their hardships.
We get Sigil. He wakes up. He's thinking about his life in Aesir, and he was studying for the test to become a prime, but he never got to do that. He runs into Lopin, Lopin's just like hanging from the ceilings and doing crazy stuff because he's Lopin, which is fun. They're all excited because Kaladin's back and they have their powers again. Find out later it's like a 50-mile radius, so pretty big, but not crazy big. Um, uh, gets we get he goes to Caledon. We get some kind of like important logistical conversations about like where are we getting our money from, who we actually serve, are we underneath the king, are we underneath Dalinar, who's now the king of Erethiru? Like if can we be conscripted into wars? Like that's a lot of like questions. Also, like we don't have that. People are starting to get married off, so like we need to start getting rooms and stuff that will come into play later. Also, we need to fill out certain forms so somebody can be gay, which is really funny. Um, um,
That was that comes up later where it was like,
Yeah,
well, why don't we ask? Like, it was in a later chapter where
yeah,
Renarin was. They were talking about Renarin doing feminine things. It's like, I don't know. Let's ask Drahy. It's like, what? Why would you ask me? I'm like the most masculine thing. Like, I don't want anything to do with women. I just want to do things with men. Like, it's.
yeah. Um, yeah. Then we need more scribes for because we can't read because we're men, and so we need more administration stuff. And hey, look, here's Lynn, who I called out previously, and I was right that she was important because I kept naming her. She wants to join Bridge 4. And then Calden's like, "Oh yeah, you could be a scribe." And she's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh well, actually, we're holding tryouts for windrunners, so you can come." So we got our female windrunner, which could be cool. We haven't learned too much about her yet, but since what happens in this part is she actually joins the windrunners, as we'll find later, she should be cool. Um, let's see what else. Is that kind of it?
So the chapter comes from Sigil's desire to be first into the sky.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, then they go and get like all the money because they're gonna
yeah,
go.
the
They're gonna
Royal
go.
Emerald Reserves.
Yeah, they're gonna go practice flying, and that's kind of how it ends. But yeah,
Yeah. So we find out that the Everstorm comes every 9 days.
hmm
At this point, it's been the third passing of it. Um, Sigil does keep mentioning like his master, who's Hoyd. He's like, what would Hoyd do here? Um, I think is this the chapter where he tries to tell a story?
I don't think so.
Fails, or is that later?
I think that's later.
Okay, because that one was funny. Um, so Sigil and we get that the other Bridge Four members as well through like Sigil's point of view that they haven't found out. Kaladin hasn't told them what Moash has done.
Yeah.
It's just that he's left. So for all intents and purposes, they believe that Moash has deserted. But they don't know the severity of the things that he has done.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
but we get a whole lot of Moash later
we
on
do.
in this section.
And since Moash and Calendar are going to the same place, that reunion is going to be really fun.
Yes. Hmm.
Get some drama. But yeah, I'd like because we don't get Kaladin's POV in this section. I think it's he's in it a lot, and I think it's uh really cool to have Ridge 4 and be like their perspective into Kaladin. And like we still get a lot of his character, and we even get kind of more how the Bridge 4 people perceive him. And I like all the chapters with them.
Yeah, it's really fun. Um, it's interesting. I do find out the more I read like these books and more POV books, because I know when I first started reading books that had different POVs, like Wheel of Time, A Song of Ice and Fire, my first read of this, it was just I wasn't really thinking about, oh, I wonder what this is like. I wonder what this person is thinking in this situation. I'm just taking the action for what it is, and that, what I've seen of a character already. Oh, okay, this person, that's just that's just what they do. And taking their words and their actions to the point of view character as, credible. Not like, oh, is this person lying? What is this person dealing with? Um, so whereas we didn't get all the other Bridge Four people, with Kaladin in books 1 and 2, you see Kaladin wondering, what did these not characters, what did these other people go through in their life? What are they dealing with? Um, and now we get Kaladin having come back from being with the Parshendi, the Parshmen that transformed into just regular Parshendi. and realizing that, they are also just people that are now being subscripted to the fused and to the more powerful Parshendi. So we know,
Unscripted.
huh?
Unscripted.
Conscripted. Sorry.
That's fine.
Um, and so that's kind of what he's probably thinking about, and he's probably thinking about Moash and what Moash did as well. And we know that he goes back and forth with his depression and everything. But coming into Bridge 4, it gives this new life to this group.
Yeah. And
So,
like what he was doing in this section, it would have been way less interesting to have it from his perspective. Instead of like I think it was really smart to like still have Kaladin in there a lot, because when you first get to the thing where the part where it says all the different POVs, like, oh no, Kaladin, all right, I guess he's like not going to be in it that much, but he's in it a lot. It's just a fresh perspective on his character, which is cool.
yeah.
All right, we can
And
move on
I
unless
do
you guys want.
love the symbols on the Bridge 4 chapters and how that the Moash one, it's got the patch ripped off. So
It's because he rips it off.
nice touch there though.
Yeah, it is nice.
And then
Yeah,
the Vinley chapter icon changed too.
yeah, I like
Oh,
the
I don't know if you
chapter.
caught that
From
because it
no.
went from Eshonai holding the shard blade
Hmm.
to Vinley holding like
The
a
little sprint, right?
spren. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
almost like an atom spren. It's got rings around it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we move on to chapter 36.
All right, Hero. This is a Dalinar flashback chapter. He's with his wife, who is pregnant. Um, um, she seems to like Spren, but Dalinar's like meh with the fire, flame Spren. Um, she's trying to get Dalinar to kind of be content and not with his life and not like fight, like he is kind of born to do and is kind of made and craves to do. Um, this is where we get the mention of the Night Watcher. Um, and he's like, that's kind of blasphemy to go seek this kind of pagan god. And we're Vorin, so no, we're not gonna do that. But it's probably what eventually will like plants a seed for him to eventually go there. Um, so Gavilar summons Dalinar.
Did you just cultivate a pun?
Maybe.
Plants a seed to go there?
Oh yeah. That's not really a pun.
Sure it is. Or yeah,
That's an expression. I don't know.
it's got a double meaning.
All right, yeah, I'll take it. Um, so we get Dalinar with Gavilar, and he's like that damn city Rathalos is kind of starting to uprise again. It turns out that the kid Dalinar did not murder a child, so there's one thing. Yay!
Yay.
But it's also proven a problem. So boo.
Boo.
Um. Uh. But he's also like, we're not gonna unleash you to go murder the city, because if we keep doing that, my son's gonna just be living in constant rebellions and things. We actually need to negotiate politically, do this stuff. So we're gonna send you to actually, does it happen yet?
No,
No.
this chapter just ends with Gavilar wanting to
Yeah.
handle this with politics and not war. Um, so later on, we do get him being sent off.
To her dads and stuff, but not
Yeah.
yet. All these things run together. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Um, yeah, it is watching Dalinar like struggle. Like in this chapter, I got a sense that he's still struggling to love Evie and to try not to dwell on the fact that Navani, like on Navani and Gavilar having married.
Yeah.
Um, that it's it's interesting. I hate saying the word interesting. Apparently, I didn't write my full thoughts out here. But I did like seeing him struggle with that because he really is trying to love Evie, and we know, like knowing him from the present Dalinar, he obviously loved her um enough to have sought out the Night Watcher for whatever it was that and like removed he asked for his pain to be taken away. And so obviously he loved her at some point. He came to love her. But seeing him struggle with that in the past, um, you could
Yeah.
see how he does change. Like it gives you that information that he changes a lot through his life.
Yeah. Do we know exactly where the valley is? I don't see it on the map.
Which valley?
The valley where you go to meet the old one, the old magic.
Oh, no,
Could they just say the
but
valley?
I think it's in Vaden. No, it's in Yakaved
Hmm.
for sure. So I feel like so in Yakaved, the only place where there could be valleys is somewhere along the Horneater Peaks.
Yeah.
Um, unless it's down there. I mean, it looks like a river flows from the Horneater Peaks down to Vadenar. So like,
Where? And we know it's in Vedenar? Like
huh?
they said it's in Vedenar? Or Yakaved?
Yakaved?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Evie's from. That's where Evie and her brother are from. They're Vadenar or Vadens. So they're from Yakaved, probably from Vadenar. Um, so yeah, I think it's somewhere around there. Well, hold on, the Valley? Is it
Yeah.
called the Valley?
That's what they always say it's called, valley.
And that's Evie saying that, or
That's every time the old magic is mentioned as you can go to the valley to
uh right here.
oh,
It literally says the Valley.
oh it's really literally in the crease between the pages.
Yeah. Well, that's why you shouldn't have lost your dust jacket here.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to keep track of it.
but yeah,
Okay.
that's between Emule and Greater Hexy, and it's
It's pretty
right
close. It's
below Uruthuru.
yeah, it's pretty close to Earth third. Mm. They could just go. They could just pop down there and in 10 hours and just go see the old magic.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a cool map. You know what? I feel like I should buy a giant map. There is a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle you can buy on what's his name's thing. Oh, sorry, I did look up the symbols. So like Light Day was announced on
Yeah.
Dragonsteel books. And so like you can buy all these like pajamas and mugs and stuff of the different orders. There's also a Knights Radiant quiz you could take to find out which order you're in. But anyway, so they have all the symbols of the orders, which I mean are also here on the ends here. But these don't actually have the names of the orders next to the symbols,
That'd be
which is
spoiled.
lame. But anyway, this is going to be the bondsmith um herald. So each of these are heralds. So this is the bondsmith herald. This is the Lightweaver herald. I'm pretty sure her name is Ash. Um, this might be Yezereza. I don't recall. I know Ash is the daughter of Yezereza. Um, and then shit. Why did I forget these?
Isn't it like
Oh, this is
Windrunner?
the Windrunner. Yeah, this is the Windrunner one. And I think this is the Elf's Caller. Um, did I chatted it to you?
He did.
Yeah, let's see here. Um, sorry, Stone Ward. She is the Stone Ward. So there are a total of obviously 10 heralds. Five of them are female, five of them are male. So
Only met two.
yes, we've met two.
We met Paolo and then we've met Nail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So curious what the other
The
two are
next
doing.
the next book has four more, including a picture of Nail. So
Oh, that's cool. I don't think I've even opened that book.
all right. Chapter 37.
Yes, the last time we march. We get Rock's real name, uh, which I think we had before, but he calls himself Numenor in his
Luna more. Yeah.
in like his mind. So this is a rock POV. Just want to ask before we get to it, did we have any indications that he had like a million kids in a family and that they were coming here?
No.
Okay. I was just like, did I miss like a little sentence of, oh, I sent a letter to my family?
No, I know. So he left with his light eye. I forget what they call their light eyes.
No, I know that. I just meant like
But
in like book two or something. Say, oh yeah, rocks like people had letters and Rock sent a letter to his family or something like that.
he might have sent back the hey, I'm now a slave over
But
here and
well,
this is my
that's what
life.
he did. He says like he sent a letter to his family after he got rescued by Dalinar at the end of book one. But it was just like I didn't remember if that happened on page or off page. I think it happened off page.
Yeah, it might have mentioned just briefly that he wrote letters, like wrote a letter, but it definitely the details of that letter were off page.
Yeah.
So whether or not he wrote a letter being on screen, I don't know. But
So this is Rock Chapter. He's cooking. They're on the Shattered Plains doing the Windrunner teaching. Kaladin and the people that can invest Stormlight are kind of helping teach the other people how to do it. Um, Rock cannot invest right now. He's like needing bread and like there's some funny stuff with like that and the fellow the Hardazian fellow cook that like adds some spice into the drinks and stuff and he's like it's really fun stuff. I don't really need to go over it all. Um but we have Lynn and four other females scouts because it seems like all the scouts are women, which is interesting considering they kind of have a weird thing about them in combat, but also like being a scout is like one of the most dangerous jobs in the military.
yeah,
So it's weird that they're like, oh, you're gonna be in combat or whatever when like they're scouts, and like that is really rough. Because like they were literally like held up in these little huts during high storms, like still watching stuff. And but anyway, it's just funny. Lupin does a lot of funny banter in this chapter where he's like promising the ground he still loves her, but wants to go into the sky to find more love and stuff. It's really funny.
That's after
Um,
he accidentally lashed himself to the or
yeah,
not yeah, lashed himself to the ground, and he's like, "No, this is what I meant to be. I just wanted to be closer to the ground before I went to the sky."
yeah, it's really funny. That's kind of happening in the background of of a lot of this. We get some really good stuff with Renarin and Rock. Basically Renarin's feeling lost in his like place in the world, and like he feels like he can't be bridge four, but he can't be like a noble, and he's like always been odd, and like he has all these different, like he's smart, so people want him to be an ardent, but he doesn't want to do that because his father wants his warriors, and he's just being torn around. And Rock gives him a really good advice about like being yourself, and like you're still bridge four no matter what. So,
It doesn't
yeah,
he tell him it's like, hey, maybe being yourself, even if what you want to be is
is
aligns
what,
with what somebody else wants you to be is okay.
yeah,
Like if that's
it-
what you want to be, but somebody else has already said, hey, you should be that, it's okay to be that.
yeah. Even if like everyone expects you to like really like being bookish because you're really smart and you want to be bookish, but you're like, just conforming to what they think, it's still okay. Um, and you, you get some stuff with him with Renarin and Relaine, who's like he gets in sits with Relaine, and we get Relaine's POV later, and it's cool. Um,
Yeah, like he was like he's like, "Oh, you feel like you don't belong? Look, why don't you go sit with him over there?"
yeah,
But yeah, one of the major things that Renarin felt like he didn't belong anymore is because he is a different order.
yeah,
Um, so like if it wasn't for that, I don't think he would I think he would have still just kind of felt like he still belonged. Um,
yeah. And then Rock's like, hey, I'm a cook and I'm not gonna do it. He doesn't, he can't walk because he got his legs cut up. That dude does what's his name?
David,
David does start to invest and he gets his legs back, which is really cool. Um, Rock also sees a bunch of Glory Spren kind of like scoping out the boys and girls practicing. Um, he does
sorry,
his
Hobber is the one that manages to suck in and heal his legs. Hobber.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's too many Bridge Four people. But yeah, so he sees a bunch of like Glory Spren. They're scoping out potential NBA draft picks, who they're gonna pick. And you see
did you
the
did you skip over Scar teaching Rock how to?
does that happen in this chapter? A lot of stuff happens.
Yeah. So first, Scar teaches Rock how to suck in the stormlight.
Hmm.
Um, and then um, after that, Rock then brings he sees the largest group of Spren he's ever seen, and like kind of loses his mind. And Syl kind of shows up and kind of makes fun of him for being like, "Oh,
Yeah,
you revere us too much. We're just things." And then that's when he like brings an offering um, of
yeah,
spears to the Spren, and like the largest one takes a sphere and flies off. He leaves the
yeah. We
rest.
get Pin Dranara or something like that.
Findara, Fin, uh,
Pin Durana.
Yeah, I didn't put her name down.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah,
Fin.
Phend.
Yeah, Dorana. Fin Findorana. Seems to be like a more bigger glory sprint, or maybe something a little different. We don't really know. Uh, I think Sil calls her like her aunt. Yeah, so a lot of stuff's happening. Um, then they see smoke in the distance. They go investigate it. They find like a caravan that's been hit by the Parshindi windrunners, wherever they're called. The guys that can fly. Um, but Rock's family's there. He's got like a billion kids and his wife Song. Um, then they do this really cool, touching thing where they're all gonna carry the bridge back, and it's the last time they're carrying it because they can fly now, and they do a whole speech and stuff, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So we get yes, excuse me. So much happens in this chapter.
yeah.
We find out a lot about Renarin and the Truth Watchers. Um, so Truth Watchers to Surges are progression. So that's got to be the one that lets him see into the future. An illumination, which
Well,
is
no, he has healing and light weaving.
no,
We know he has healing.
he doesn't have healing.
He healed. What's this? He healed Avelin. He healed Avelin's broken arm.
Okay, but literally in the book it said his surges were progression
Well,
and
maybe
illumination.
progression is also healing. It's a different type of healing.
Yeah,
You can progress the, but he literally like remember that remember because Adolin has his wrist hurt, and he heals a bunch of people in this chapter of a bunch of the like wounded caravan people.
okay. I mean, maybe that's
Maybe
part of it.
maybe that's not regrowth, which is like healing. I don't know. Maybe it's not like plant stuff. Maybe progression is something different. But he can heal. So he heals a
Yeah,
bunch.
and then he shares the illumination with the light weavers.
Yeah, which he hasn't been able to do.
Rock can't see Renarin's
Yeah.
Spren. His
And
name's
we haven't seen it yet either.
no, we haven't. But
No.
his name's Gliss. Um, and then Rock's funny because
Right.
he said Huio, the Herdasian, he said, has changed this thing. I now have to either promote him or push him off the side of plateau. And that's
Yeah.
like after he added the lasbo to the shiki to make it spicy.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So it's in the back of the book, so it's not a spoiler. We have the 10 surges. We have adhesion, the surge of pressure and vacuum, which Kaladin has. We have gravitation, the surge of gravity, which
on
Kaladin.
Dalinar has adhesion too.
Yes. We have division, the surge of destruction and decay, which I'm guessing Malada has.
Yeah, the dust bringers.
Yeah. We have abrasion, surge of friction, which is lift. Progression, the surge of growth, healing, or regrowth. So that's Renarin and lift. Illumination, the surge of light, sound, and various waveforms, which is Renarin and Shallan. Transformation, the surge of soul casting, which is Shallan and Yasna.
Yasna.
Transportation, the surge of motion and romantic transition, which I'm guessing is Yasna. Cohesion, the surge of strong axial interconnection, which I don't fucking know. I guess that's Dalinar with his bond stuff. Tension, the surge of soft axial interconnection. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, cohesion and tension. I don't know.
Yeah. The cohesion makes sense with the bondsmith, was how he's like making the map. I don't
Yes.
know what an axial interconnection is, but so he so he does have regrowth. So I don't know. So maybe his like various waveforms is how he can like see the future, and that's why he hasn't been able to light weave yet.
So cohesion, strong axial interconnection might be so like if he can bond Spren to the physical realm.
Oh, that'd be
So
cool.
so so yeah, I think that's that. And I think lift either has that or tension. Lift has something to do with that axial interconnection.
Well, we know lifts two things. It's abrasion and progression. Just
Uh,
she's
True. Okay.
but lift can the weird she can do the weird stuff with of dreams is because she's like part kind of the realm, I'm guessing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, you're right.
I wonder what a cohesion tension what thing has that, both of those. And what would that
Uh,
even do?
yeah, I don't think somebody would have both of those.
Wasn't
So each one is shared with one
James.
other.
Yeah.
So there's not a pairing for each one, but each one exists in two orders.
Hmm, yeah, makes sense.
There's not a combination of everything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Right.
Yeah. So yeah. Um, we'll find out more about that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Uh, we're finally getting some answers a little bit. But yeah, this chapter is really good. If we're gonna read back the chapter. Um, Also there's an index on the back of the book if people want to look up stuff. Um,
Yeah, and these they're canon in-world stuff. So
yeah,
it's written by a Cosmere. Canonically, this information in the Ars Arcanum is written by an in Cosmere character.
that's cool.
I think it's one of the ones we meet in White Sand,
Oh, okay. Cool.
which the novelization of that story he's going to be working on and coming out in the next 8 years. So,
So we got time. Um, but yeah, I guess we want to bring it back. Oh, I do want to say it seems like Rock is the chief of his people now, but he like quickly shuts it down.
yes,
Yeah,
it does.
because like he's the third son, but it seems like the other two are dead. So he's the first one now, but he's like, no, I'm a chef. So,
Yeah.
which will be interesting, and I'm guessing that's what's going to happen in Horn, whatever that novella that's coming out.
Hornier.
Yeah, Hornier. So we're now on chapter 38, Broken People. This is a Dalinar POV. This is Dalinar is in his visions again. He has Navani and Yasna in the visions. He's fighting people. And they're all kind of like primitive um people. But he's in combat. He's having fun in combat. Uh,
He loses his arm and
yeah,
refuses to heal it, like the Stormfather says,
yeah.
until eventually he does.
There's some Voidbringers. It's a big fight. Radiance there. The Stone Ward is there. Uh, yeah. There are
Navani is studying a Fabrial that is able to provide some of the this one, it provides regrowth. So we get this concept now that Fabrials can um, contain the surges. Like you can put surges into Fabrials.
yeah,
So you basically have these grenades of surges.
which is kind of what a Soulcaster is. So makes sense because it's the uh, surge of transformation.
Oh yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
I just kind of put that together.
Hey,
Hey,
there we go. We're figuring it
we're
out. We
figuring
are
it out.
scholars.
We are scholars. Um, yeah, so they're kind of just looking around, trying to figure out stuff. Um, they I like that they have people. I like how they have scribes at each one of them writing what they're saying down. Um, yeah, she's trying to figure out Fabrials, and like they're learning more about how like civilization got like reset every time with the desolations. Um, oh, and then they find the prelude where the 9 honor blades are stuck in the ground. We find the one that Seth had. Um, yeah, yeah. Then we get Voidbringer stuff where they're
Overall,
like,
I thought there was way too much happening
yeah,
in this chapter.
it's a lot.
Like
Um,
the information at the end was great, but like overall, I was confused in what was going on in some parts.
yeah. So basically, what we find out the fused are the souls of ancient Parshmen. Basically, like kind of like the heralds of the Parshmen because they can keep coming back, just like the
And they're
heralds
just
do.
we find out they're just as insane.
They're just as insane. Most of them are just as insane. So what they do, what the fuse are, is like they seek out bodies and like just bond them and just basically kill the people that they bond. We see this firsthand in the interlude, but so like even if you kill them, they just keep coming back, and then it's very bad.
They're more insane each time.
Yeah, I've kind of found out that they would go into the the, the damnation or whatever, and then if one of them broke, that's like they would all pop back on Earth or Roshar, and
Yeah, that was the heralds.
yeah, the
So
heralds
yeah,
would.
when the heralds go, when they, so when a herald died, I have it written out here.
Yeah.
When a herald died, that herald would return to damnation. Then at the end of the desolation, any living heralds would return to damnation as part of their oath pact. And as long as they stayed there and suffered, humanity was free of the Voidbringers and the Fused. But if one of them broke their oath, then all of them, all it was broken for all of them, and they would all return.
Hmm.
Um, the time between each breaking kept getting shorter
Sure.
each time. Um,
Yeah.
then
They,
the only one that never broke was Talanat, and he was the at Harriettum, or however you say that, which was the last desolation, which is the current vision they're in.
yeah.
He was the only one that died.
Mhm.
All of the other heralds survived, and the 9 living decided at that moment not to go back because they're like, if only one person is there, it's easier for that one person to not break the oath. And since Talanat is the one that's there right now, he's the only one that hasn't broken it. So he is going to save humanity. And he stayed there for 4,500 years before he broke. Um, and so that's the story of the heralds leaving, the true story. And that's what the Stormfather tells Dalinar.
Yeah.
He also mentions that the fused don't go back to damnation when they die. They just get reborn every ever storm, as long as the oath pact isn't in place.
Yeah.
And then after that story, Dalinar realizes that the madman that they met truly is Talanat.
Hmm.
Um, and then at the end, Navani tells Shallan to draw the honor blades so they can try to find them.
Yeah. This is where I have a um theory about the unmade.
Okay.
I think that they are the spren of the heralds as they're being tortured in damnation. That's how. So like they're tortured. That's why they each kind of are like the ones we've seen connect to different surges and stuff. It's because they were being tortured and like their pain and suffering created the spren, the 9 unmade or the 10 unmade. We don't know if there's
So it's not the sprint of the heralds, but it's the sprint
Mm.
generated from the suffering of the herald.
Yeah, that's my thought. That's my theory. We'll see if it comes
Hey,
true.
I like it. I understand it.
Because
So,
like you know, thousands of years of torture and that like cognitive realm making that like a thing of odium and stuff. So we'll see. Could be cool.
so would the Midnight Mother
It'd be,
be
I guess,
ashes?
ashes, yeah, like torment or whatever.
Yeah.
It has some flaws, but it's something cool. I was like, I'll bring it up. We'll see.
And we find out also that Stone Wards share a surge with the Bondsmiths. I would assume that's cohesion
Yeah. So
because it's not adhesion because that's shared between Bondsmiths and Windrunners.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
Um, I I wrote copied a quote. I don't remember why, but obviously this is probably the storm. Yeah, it's all in all caps, so it's the Stormfather speaking. It said some of these spren are mere forces now, animalistic fragments of minds given power by odium.
Yeah, and we see that later. So we see a lot of the fused are crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder how many fused there are.
So I've I really felt from the interlude because we know we've met one for sure, Leshwi. Like she's a greater fuse. She's the Windrunner
Yeah,
fuse that
yeah,
Moash killed. Um, then in the interlude, they chose 9 people that were to be willing to accept something. So I think there's 10.
but I mean, there's a bunch of Windrunner fused, unless like they can like squire people.
Yeah, so we also know that whatever went into Vinley in the interlude was higher than just a normal.
Like a void sprint or something.
Yeah, it wasn't just a regular void sprint, but it wasn't a greater
Mm,
fused.
yeah,
So there's levels, and it kind of makes sense. Like, okay, you got humans, then you got radiants, then you have heralds,
yeah,
and so you might have Parshindi, then whatever Vinley is, and then you got the fused.
yeah. But it's the question is if they're the radiants in this thing or if they're the heralds. I have a feeling that they're the radiants.
You
So
think you think the fused are the radiants and not the heralds?
yeah, I think there's a bunch of them. Maybe like I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe they're all called fused, but like the greater fused are the or the heralds or something. Like the lesser fused can still like wind run and stuff. Just because we've seen a bunch of wind runners.
Well, it makes sense that Leshwi, like if they're named like Leshwi is,
Yeah.
that is the one that goes from body to body.
But we've seen like a couple of them in that war camp that had names and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, we need to find out more information about how many they are and what they
Yeah,
do and stuff.
we'll
It
find out more.
is it is crazy. I don't.
Chapter
Yeah,
39.
it's a weird thing of like their souls are somehow stuck with odium, or I don't know. We need to get more information on how that actually works and things like that. Chapter 39, notes. This is a Shlan Davar chapter.
Did you take notes here?
I did not.
Oh, shit.
Just like Shallan. Shallan is attending a meeting. She's not really paying attention. She's also like, man, Shallan's just treating me like her ward, but also I can't tell her that I'm part of the Ghost Bloods now. So it's a conundrum. Um, she just keeps taking notes and then like drawing doodles. It's really funny. Um, she is this yeah, this is chapter where she uh she draws a doodle, a portrait of Kaladin, and Yasna's like, no, don't, you can't do Kaladin.
Oh yeah.
Stick with my nephew. Uh, and she's like, um, yeah, she's just trying to get her back. Basically in the meeting, they're trying to discuss like what they're gonna do and like heralds. Yasna's like, I like Yasna. She's like, yeah, we should just go find the heralds and kill them so they can start doing their job again. And everybody's like, I don't know about that. And she's like, well, we need to figure out something because either we need to do that or we just have to kill all the Parshendi because they can just get taken over by the fused over and over again. And Kaladin has a little hissy fit about that because he's a little bit more empathetic while she's more pragmatic. Um, it's um, it's funny. Um, Downer does agree that if they get back Alfcar and stuff and they can figure out some stuff, he will negotiate with the non-fused Parshendi. So we got maybe some light at the end of the tunnel there. And yeah, they're gonna try to find heralds.
Yasna is put in charge of fighting the heralds.
Yeah. Just needs to talk with Lift. She's really good at finding at least one herald.
Yeah.
And a crabman who's the herald of heralds.
Yeah, the herald of heralds.
Yes. He's actually a fuse, but he just somehow all the person he souls went into crabs and he just fused with them. It's like the ultimate fuse. Yeah.
Yeah, Yasna calls for a break.
Yeah.
And that's where she
where
kind of like talks to Shallan, scolding her for being inattentive, dismissive, and basically essentially lazy. But at the same time, commends her for all the progress on finding Urithiru and all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, I know you're keeping secrets, but also, hey, you're gonna still be my ward, um, because there's more stuff that you need to learn.
Yep. Yep. Just fun. And then we get a little stinger at the end, a little some information that Maraise has given her about her brother.
Before that, though,
Yeah.
Pattern told Shallan that like that room with the pillar, the whatever, there's like it has memories, and has suggested that
They could go into Shadesmar and see some stuff.
yeah, so to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And then we got a little tease at the end, like I said, about Heroland, acolyte of the Radiant Order of the Skybreakers. So he was with Nail.
Nail, yeah.
So figure it out.
It's funny. I wrote these questions before I continued to chapter 40. I was like, all right, so if he was already, this is about Helleran, if he was already able to surge bind and bonded to Spren, he wouldn't have been able to hold the shard blade. Um, and I was like, also, what happens to the Spren blade if the Radiant dies? Does it become a regular shard blade? So, like, assuming Helleran had bonded a Spren and he still died, would the Spren die and become a regular shard blade?
I don't think so.
I think you would have at that point it would just be stuck in the physical realm. I think it would become stuck in the physical realm, but in order for it to be bonded to somebody, you'd have to attach a gem to it.
I think it would disappear.
Okay, we'll see.
Here's my thing, because I don't. I think breaking the oaths is what kills them, not if like their wielder dies. I think that would just kind of like shunt them back into the guided realm for good or whatever. It's just my thing because they don't think they're not like I haven't gotten a sense from Syl like Kaladin, you need to survive so I don't die. Or, she's not worried about Kaladin dying, other than like it would suck. Like,
She
like
even
she,
gave
she
him poisonous leaves.
yeah. So like I should probably go back and be like mindless, or like if she came back, she'd just search for somebody else. I think it's the physical act of like breaking the oaths that like kills them. That was what was so bad. Because otherwise, it'd be really rough for all the sprint and like a giant apocalypse. Then it would make the recreants like so like it would just be like everyday thing if like 300 radiants died. I know all of our spren died as well. So
There's 300 shard blades in a
yeah,
pile on a
yeah,
field.
yeah. That's why I think it was something different. Um,
And then the other question I had written down from this Helleran information was, why would Nail want Amaram dead? And I was like, surely because Nail either thought he was going to be a Radiant or because he was a Radiant. Um, we find out in the next chapter some other information.
yes.
Um, but I had those questions. That letter made me think of those things. I do want to point out, I also wrote a note here around this time that I think in the last part, we forgot to mention that the Parshindi have been disabling span reads.
Hmm.
So been breaking communication.
Yeah,
And
communication is broken. I don't know if it's the Parshendi or like the Spren of the. We don't really know what's causing. At least I don't. I don't remember.
no, I remember reading in one part where they mentioned that they knew how to um, disable the span reads.
Oh,
Like they were
okay.
collecting them and disabling them.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it seemed more magical to me because like all of Kolinar, there's no spin rates there, and they're not even inside Kolinar yet. So I don't know. We'll see.
Chapter
Chapter
40?
40, questions, peaks, and interferences.
Inferences.
Inferences. Reading is hard. This is
So
a
is Glurv.
yes, Glurv.
It's a weird
He,
name.
he's not in this though, not yet. This is Shalon Devar chapter. Picks up right afterwards. We get a letter. She reads the letter. Um, uh, so we get a good amount of information.
Do
You
you
got
want
it
me to
all?
go through the information from the letter? I
Yeah,
haven't all.
yeah. If you got it in bullet points, because there's a
Yeah.
lot.
So the letter from Moraes contains the information that the Sons of Honor and the Skybreakers were two orders that, or organizations that knew the desolations would come. The Heralds shouldn't be seen as allies to men. So Moraes is like saying, hey, look, the Heralds are not allies to men. They're not to be trusted. They're crazy. Uh, Nail recruited those close to bonding Spren and forced them to bond high Spren, and then killed those who had already bonded a Spren. So if when he sought out people that were close to bonding a Spren, he would make them bond one to become a Skybreaker. If they already bonded one that would not make them a Skybreaker, he killed them. He knew that one of the Devars was close to bonding a Spren, and he figured it was Helleran. So he gave him shards to recruit him as an acolyte. Little did he know, they know that Shalon had already bonded a Spren. So she went under the radar. But the Skybreakers didn't know about Kaladin being close to bonding a Spren. They knew that there was one in Amaram's army, but also there was one that they had already killed. They had already killed one in Amaram's army, but they were searching for another one. Um,
Yeah. Who do you think the one they already killed was?
so I
Do you
wrote
know?
this. Who would the other Radiant in Amaram's army have been? And I said Tien, because it doesn't say that they killed him. It
Yeah.
said that he died. said the person that bonded to Spren in Amaram's army had died already.
Hmm,
Um,
it's possible. It's like the only
it-
other person we know from Imram's army.
yeah. So she then takes a memory of the letter and puts it into the water to wash off the ink to get rid of all this evidence because surely, it's kind of damning information. Um, and then it also mentioned, so it's speculated on why Halloran tried to kill Amaram, and I do believe it was because he wanted to prove himself, and not because. Um, well, I just wrote that. I didn't write not because of whatever. Yeah, so
Yeah. We do also learn that the Skybreakers are the only order that did not give up their oaths. So
yes,
they did not. They were not part of the Recreants, which is interesting.
and Nail is crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Um. Yeah. So fun stuff. We're getting just lots of revelations in this part. It's good stuff. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have a POV switch. We see we're now with Vale, who's a completely different character, of course. Um, yeah. She is kind of with all the Shallan soldier people,
People.
Gaz, Vatha, all those people. I like how she complains about Shallan. She's kind of posing like she's like one of Shallan's spies that Shallan has hired and things like that. So they don't know. None of the people know. Um, they basically the whole big part of this is that she finds out that girl um that she was talking to in the bar where she stabbed the Horner's hand.
Ishna.
Yeah, Ishna was like following her and like tailing her and stuff. She basically wants to join the Ghost Bloods, and she's like, "All right, you're actually pretty useful. I can pretend to be critical of you while learning spy skills from you, so you're gonna be really helpful for me. And also, have fun. You're training all my guys to be spies because I need people I can trust." And she's like, "Oh, well, I can try." So we got a new team is formed. We got Team Spies. Yeah,
Yeah, and during that, Gaz was just like, "Man, I wish an army or Bridge 4 would take me in. Then we could be learning how to fight or Surge. But maybe he'll get to Surge.
yeah, might get some apprenticed light weavers.
I don't think Lightweaver's apprentice, but maybe he'll bond to Spren.
Yeah, I think it said like normally they not like the Windrunners like the only ones, but you never know. They might not.
Windrunners and Skybreakers.
Yeah, they might not have had a Gaz before who will become, the most important character in book 5.
Yeah, I just hope we don't run out of gas.
Ha 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 ha.
All right, you want to move on to chapter 41?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Uh,
I
on
didn't
the
have
ground.
anything else on that chapter. The rest of the Veil stuff was just kind of
I
information.
would just say I'm glad Helloran was in one of the different secret societies we already knew about. So we got confirmation on that. We kind of closed that chapter, which is nice. Um, but yeah, you can go on. Chapter 41, on the ground looking up. This is a Teft point of view. Uh, Basically, we find out Teft is a heroin addict. It's kind of sad.
A really sad Bender chapter.
Yeah,
Damn it.
that's kind of it. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he crushes.
Hey, you like crush it in your palm and like I guess it cuts you a little bit and goes in your bloodstream.
Yeah, it releases smoke that you
Yeah,
inhale.
smoked. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
He gets rescued. Like the guy at the thing is like, you know what? I'm gonna give you another one. Um, uh,
Oh, we also find out that Taft has bonded a sprint.
yeah, he has bonded to Sprint, but ignores her,
Yeah,
and goes and finds another fire moss den, gets another hit. Um, then that's when Kaladin and Rock show up, and they pay the tab,
yeah,
and then they carry Teft out, and then they set him up to rehab with a blanket and stew to recover, but he can't eat the stew for a while because he's nauseous. Um, he feels sorry for himself, and he just, he thinks he's looking up from the ground as the rest of Bridge 4 flies high because he starts to compare himself to them and like, oh, this person did this person did that, and here I am responsible for my parents dying because I turned them in. and,
yeah,
and all of this other stuff. Like he's just really feeling sorry for himself. Um, but at the end, he realizes that he'll be forced to deal with his pain without the moss. And I think that really does it's so evident so far. Like it's most evident with Teft at this point in the book that this is a major theme of most characters in this book of dealing with pain without masking it, without running away from it, without pushing it down with drugs or other distractions, running away from it.
yeah,
Uh, so it's a good chapter. It's sad, but it
yeah.
really it really hones in on that theme.
It hasn't gone anywhere yet because for the rest of this part, whenever we've seen Taft, he's been pretty competent and like he's just doing his job basically. So I'm curious how much of this struggle is going to be in the book. Um, just because it feels like a lot of crazy stuff's going to happen. I mean, we do have a billion pages, so it'll probably be in there, but it's interesting. I wonder if it's going to be like a multi-book addiction draw side plot or something, or if it's going to be like at the end of this book, is he like has like the third ideal and he's like a new runner and stuff like that, or maybe something different. We don't actually know what this friend was, so it could be a different person. But yeah, it was a good chapter. It's sad. I do kind of like how they just kind of tease it a little bit by just being Death was missing every once in a while, like both this book and last book.
Yeah,
Um,
it explains that.
yeah, just fun.
Yeah.
Fun for an addiction plot line.
Addiction is not fun, guys.
No, it's not. Hopefully he gets help and listens to his friend.
Yeah.
I'm, I'm curious. It's interesting. I wonder where she goes because Rock didn't seem like Rock saw her.
Yeah, I
So
don't yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be fun. Uh, potential hair. Not hero. Radiant among us. All right. Chapter 42. Consequences. It's another Dalinar chapter. Once again, Dalinar is just chilling in visions. That's kind of what he does. Uh, uh, he's in the vision. Um, we get to see what's his face. Yes,
Gox,
yeah, Gox, but Yezaring is there.
Yezera,
Yes, yeah, thanks. Um,
Yazir.
yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Why'd you give Gox two names? Because he has his emperor name and he has his real name. His emperor name is what? Youngwan?
Yanagon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yanagan.
Well,
Um,
Yanagon is his name, but like Lift called him Gox, or his uncle called him Gox. Um,
oh, is that his actual name?
Yanagon is his actual name.
Yeah, I thought that was like a title of like being the prime or whatever.
No, I don't think so. I think it's his real name.
Oh, okay. Oh, All right, then he's going by his real name now. Uh, Basically, Dalinar goes and talks to him. Uh, you know, trying to convince Aesir to open up the Oathgate and all that fun stuff. Um, you know, but he's untrustworthy of him, and then Lift comes and it's like, "What's up? I don't trust you. You have too nice of a butt. That means you're a fighting man."
Your butt's too tight.
Yeah. Um, and then the Stormfather's like, What the hell's going on? I didn't invite you into my dream or my vision. What the hell?" Um, and yeah, he kind of was like, "God damn you, Night Mother or Night Watcher."
Yeah, Night Watcher,
Uh,
you've gone too far with
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Wait,
Uh,
what did she do? How is this happening?
but yeah, it seems like she's come back from Edge Dancer. So I guess Edge Dancer has been happening probably in this part of this book. But she's returned, and Gox is very happy. Um, and that's kind of that chapter.
Yeah. We find out that Yezereza or Yezera is like a dark eye, and he's not Alethi, but he looks almost Alethi. Um, so almost as like the evolution of Homo sapiens, right? Um, and then also the Alethi Code of War is only 30 years old. So, yeah, right before Gavilar and Dalinar kind of went to town warring, right?
Uh,
Or right as they did.
I missed that.
So Gox points that out because he's like, I think Dalinar mentioned something like, I, I follow my code of war. He's like, oh, that's only been 30, that's only 30 years old. That's not like a historical thing for the Alethi. Um, because Gox brings up the brutality of Sadis, the Sunmaker.
Yeah.
Um, and he's like, and Dalinar is like, well, I have an advantage because I've lived long enough to see the consequences of my actions.
Mm.
Um, and that's around the time Gox brings up that the Alethi Code of War was only 30 years old. Um, so
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that because when Dalinar talked about it, I was like, oh, okay, this is an Alethi thing that's been around for a while. But
He says your code of law is barely 30 years old, not the codes of war.
Code of Law?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because that makes more sense because then you would make a code of law for the kingdom, the new kingdom. Because no, I'm pretty sure the Alethi codes of war are like ancient, and that's why it was so traditional to go back to them.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, fun. I like Dalinar meeting Lift. Lift's a great character once again.
Yep.
Um, I'm really interested in her getting to Irithyru. I wonder if we're gonna get any Lift chapters. I hope so. Um, but we can go on to 43 Spearmen. We get a Moash point of view. And like you said, Moash's chapter headers are a torn coat, no Bridge 4 symbol. It's very sad. Uh, Moash is sitting around with Graves. He's eating some stew, being all sad that he's not with Bridge 4. He's like, kind of like, what am I doing? Um, they're like talking, like, oh, we're gonna meet up with the diagram and blah, 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 blah. They're like all talking Graves and stuff. And then basically, a bunch of fuse come down and just murder everybody. Like Graves just dies in an instant. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Um, like, oh, Graves is dead. All right, cool. Um, he ends up Moash ends up fighting. He's really bad with a shard blade, so he ends up going back to his Bridge 4 roots, picks up a spear, they're like fighting. He ends up like killing a fuse that we meet later. Um, uh, and he's forced to give up his shard blade and a shard plate, and he's gets taken off into the air with the fuse, and that's it.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he also told himself it's like I'm not one of them anymore. I'm back to being who I was. Like I'm back to my true self.
Yeah, I'm not a Lidays anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's basically I mean killing killing Leshwi, the deaths of the diagram people to free Moash from that obligation and Moash accepting who he is as a piece of shit. It's kind
Oh,
of the whole point of that chapter.
he's not that. He's not that bad.
Oh, he's not that bad. Okay.
No.
Eh.
Um, chapter 44, the bright side. First, we get they're going to be building skyships. It's going to be cool.
Yes. I like the sail on the bottom of it, but how do you
Yeah.
land it?
You have like landing gear that goes way out and it puts on there. Or like folds up. Couple of indentions that folds up.
Eh?
And then I don't know how you would take off of that. I don't know.
And do you land it on the ground or do you land it in the water?
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Oh, we did have this cool sorry, at the beginning of this
oh
part,
yeah,
we did
that was
have that
cool.
cool
Like the
graphic.
throne room type thing. Yeah.
Right
Yes.
side.
Yeah, all the illustrations are really cool. These novels. We get another Shallan Davar chapter. Actually, it's a Veil chapter. Um, Veil is with Gaz and Vatha and Red and Isna, and they're training to be spies. They're doing like a whole thing where you close your eyes and you describe everybody that you saw. Like you like glance around and you close your eyes and you like describe all the shit. Like one of them is just like, oh yeah, there was a hot girl at the bar, which was really funny. And then basically Shallan's like describes everybody in the room, and everybody's like, "Holy shit, you have really good memory." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty good." Then she's like, "Oh no, I'm late for a meeting. Bye." So the training's happening. It's going slow, but Vatha is trying hard. So Vatha's gonna be the chief spy once he gets going, which I liked. Everybody else kind of sucks, but Vatha's pretty good. Um, there she meets with scribes. And then she's like, she wants to like make another persona for herself to be a scholar. She's like,
She
nah,
starts to think about that. She's
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, she's like, no, I'm getting too insane. I Shallan, I myself should be a scholar. Um, we got Navani, and I think Yasna's there too. And then Renarin's there because Renarin's gonna take the advice that Rock gave him to kind of be himself and you know do stuff. They start to describe the fabrials of the tower. Um, oh yeah, this Jelana mocks Renarin because he says something like it's all one fabrial, right? Um, and then Shallan like basically tears her a new one because she also used to date Adolin because every woman in the war camps used to date Adolin, and but she's a little unhinged and gets called out of it by Yasna. Yasna's like you could chill a little bit. My mom was fixing to tear her a new one, but politely. Um, so but Renarin is thankful because somebody defended his honor and it wasn't just his brother. And I do like that Dalinar comes to kind of support Renarin. And Shallan's like, all right, Yasna's taking too much control of me and stuff. I need to get away. What's a plausible way to get away? Oh, I could join Kaladin's expedition to Kholinar. because having a spy there would, and her logic is very sound. It's like, what are y'all gonna do? Fight like 1,000 people? No, I can infiltrate and like make everybody look like a Parshendi. I'm cool. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of chapter. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah, you hit everything. So many people are there, like Adrotasia, May Aladar is
Yeah,
there.
Meowdor.
Um, some chick Inadara, I think she's one of like the soul casters.
I think she's like the head scribe. I think she was the one that was like with Shalon last book when like they found the Oath Gate or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Still waiting for May Aladar to do something because she's been mentioned too many times.
I do like that Renarin made the suggestions like not being around Yasna when she gives orders is a good way to not get ordered around by her. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, no shit.
yeah, yeah,
We can move on.
yeah. Good chapter. I like I like this slow build up of Renarin.
Yes.
We still haven't gotten any POV chapters, but I'm gonna assume that's gonna end pretty soon.
So did they ever point out who Drahe is trying to court?
Yeah. Doesn't he have a guy?
It's mentioned that he's courting a man, but I don't think anybody's ever mentioned who it is. Do you think it could be Renarin? Do you think Renarin is into men
I
or
mean,
not?
I have no idea because he hasn't really talked about anything. I thought they said the name of the guy Dre he is with, but I might have forgotten.
They might have, but
I thought they said it when like they were when Sigzil was like, "We need rooms for these people that are married and Drehe and blah blah blah," and I forgot. But that could just be a thing I made up. I don't know.
it might have been. There's a lot of names.
There are so many names.
And
That's
I'm
why
not putting them all, but
that's why May Aladar keeps. I'm like, she's gonna be something. She's been mentioned too many times. She's either gonna like die or like become a radiant or something.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm more curious about Renarin. I'm liking that since Adolin's gonna go on the Kolinar trip, he's gonna be separated from his brother, so it gives Renarin more um agency with other people, and I hope we get some POVs with him.
Yeah.
This book. A Revelation is chapter 45. This is a Moash POV. Moash is in Revelar, where Kaladin was. He got dropped off by the Fuse because they like flew him over there. Um, he's in the pen with the other humans. He's kind of they're like asking for volunteers and being all like y'all farm, y'all gather stuff. There's like a place for like heavy labor. It's really bad. Then he goes and he sees his old kind of boss Guff, who is with the caravans. He gets sent to this high prince. Um, let's see, his name is Vamath. Vama, yeah,
Vema
Vama.
or yeah.
Yeah. Um, and
Or
then like
Valath. I didn't write it down.
it's Vamah.
Yeah, Vema.
Vama. Uh, ask basically he's being just a light eye high prince, and then Moash is like, all right, we just need to tear this shit down. Like maybe we don't deserve to exist. Maybe the Voidbringers are right. We're cool. This is terrible. So he basically goes is like, all right, I'm gonna go do hard labor. I'm a bridgeman. I can go do hard labor, but let's burn everything down.
So the High Lord he talked to was Paladar, and he asked about if Vema or
Oh,
the High Princess knew of his plight. He's like,
that's
he's
right.
not a High Prince, but he's a High Lord. He's like, oh, you came from there? Do they know that I'm trapped over here? Like,
That's right.
are they
Yeah.
sending somebody to rescue me? He's like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
um,
And
and
I'll
that's when Moash realizes that like Light Eyes didn't change. Like, they're still like evil bastards, even though like this one is made a slave. All he cares about is himself and like, oh, okay, you were under me. Oh, do they know I'm more important than anybody else? Like, are they rescuing me?
yeah.
And so he's like, this is that he gets this revelation uh that all humanity is broken and not just himself. But realizes at the same time that Kaladin and some of the others are exceptions. It's like they aren't broken, but everybody else is. So
Yeah.
he still kind of idolizes Kaladin.
Yeah.
We see a whole lot of that. He like harks back to his training and what would Kaladin do in this situation. Um, but yeah, at the end he just kind of ends up signing himself for hard labor just to kind of occupy his time.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, 46. When the Dream Dies. This is a Scar POV. Um, they uh they're not yet. He's running up to the Oath Gate. They're through. They're gonna do more training. Uh, he has not. He's one of the only. I think he's the only original Bridge Four member that cannot do Stormlight yet. Um, so he's kind of having an existential crisis of like, if I can't do Stormlight, like what am I do? Am I have to, you know, join the cooking team? But I'm a soldier. I'm like the best spearman after Moash, and Moash is gone. And we get more of like we don't know why Moash left. Um, there's even more recruits with Kaladin now, and they all kind of bop over to the Shattered Plains, where a caravan is waiting to get taken back over there. It seems like they say something like it's like less energy to like do it with they like, do it one at a time and stuff. Like they let like a group of people come and then like they take them back or something like that.
Oh, the no, they set people on each one
Yeah, that's
and then
right.
they swap.
Yeah,
So because it doesn't use twice as much Stormlight. It just uses a little bit more Stormlight to swap the groups, but they're saving Stormlight by doing that.
yeah, that's right. Um, let's see. Um, oh yeah, there's soldiers now. Practicing bridge runs, which is funny to Scar, because they still are still gonna need it to expand. They're talking about making permanent bridges and like repopulating the war camps again, um, and getting like the farming operations and things like that happening. Um, yeah. Um, Scar, uh, Scar is like, he sees Lynn, there kind of by herself. She's all dejected because she hasn't been able to invest yet either. And he wants to
To
he's
help.
like he wants to help her basically. And basically they have a conversation about like why you want to be a windrunner. Um, you know, and like she gives some like half-ass reasons of um why she wants to be one, like be free in the sky and all that stuff. But and then she eventually is like, I want to be more than anything. He's like, well, you can't give up. You have to just keep trying, and eventually you'll do it. Because the moment you do give up on your dream, the dream's over. As long as you have you know, an inkling of hope, the dream is alive, and all that stuff. And she draws in Stormlight and becomes a squire. And he's like he's at peace, but not really at peace with having helped her. But then it turns out he's also drawn in Stormlight because that was what he needed. He needed to help people and kind of like find his place and his peace among any
Yeah, we
gods.
get the information that he was the one that helped Rock um find his potential to breathe in Stormlight.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, he's kind of feeling down as well, almost like Sig or Teft was, right? Or
yeah,
was it Sigzil?
probably Sigil.
Yeah, Sigzil was like, man, everybody else is better than me, and I'm kind of a piece of shit because got my family killed. Um, Scar's kind of feeling that same way, um, or rather, no, he thinks on everybody else's faults. He's like, man, I'm better than these people. Like he thinks about Teft's addiction. He's like, he can breathe in Stormlight. Dre, he's struck an officer. He can breathe in Stormlight. Eth considered desertion. So he's really feeling sorry for himself. But yeah, at the end, Rock points out, he's like, well, you might want to, look at yourself. You're glowing too. Um, and I'm not entirely convinced that Scar is a Windrunner.
Wow.
He could be something else. Simply just because like what made him be able to breathe in the stormlight um wasn't I'm protecting people. He's like, I'm helping people find their true potential. It seems like a different ideal.
True.
Um, but we'll see.
Yeah,
It's a possibility.
that's a possibility. I mean, we do need to fill out the other orders because can't really have the Windrunners just be like 2/3 of the named characters are Windrunners.
Right. And that's what I figured too. So
And then
I mean we already have Renarin as a truth watcher, but he's still considered
yeah,
Bridge
Bridge
4.
4. And we have Taft who could be a Windrunner or something else. He actually has a sprint too. Yeah. I like it. It was a good chapter. More setup for Lynn to be an important character because she was the first female Windrunner and things like that, or at least Squire. So I'm curious for more of her character. They do seem to be setting her up as an important character. So
Yeah.
yeah, be nice. All right, 47. Unless you got anything else.
Nope.
All right, so much is lost. This is a Yasna Kulin chapter. We get Yasna for I think the first time in this whole series. Um, as a POV, except for the prologue in book 2. Yeah, don't just look at me. You pick you up. Move. All right.
Yeah, she's reading over Talonat's
Sorry.
words that were no, you're good.
Yeah.
There's transcribed his bad rantings.
Yes.
She's reading over that with Ivory. She had sent the one rescued trunk. So there was like 3 trunks of her notes that were on the ship. One was rescued. She sent that along with some span reads to Sheik to keep it safe. But is having them rewrite the notes for her. So they're writing them, and she's getting a copy through the span read.
Mhm.
She's actually afraid that she's become irrelevant at this point, simply because all of her life's work on Voidbringers, which were secret up until recently, has become common knowledge now. But not for the whole world, but for all the Alethi at least, and that's being sent out and everything. So she thinks she's become irrelevant, and she's basically starting over. Like, oh, I figured that all out, but I wasn't the one to tell people. Her memories stir a dark memory of an illness that she had when she was a kid, and the fact that she was hurt by people that she loved. This is the first mention of that. We get something later on in one of Dalinar's flashbacks.
There was something in book one, I remember, where she's like, I was powerless to a man once or something, or powerless once and I won't be that again, or something. She said like that.
Oh, I don't recall
Yeah,
that.
it was something that really snuck out to me in this reread of Way of Kings. It was when she was like zapping people with the storm with her
Okay, that makes sense.
soulcaster. She was like, "Yes, I was powerless once."
Um,
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
yeah, that will be interesting to see more of that, what happened there. And that's probably what caused Ivory to seek her out in the first place.
Mhm.
Ivory suggests that going to Shadesmar uh, will help them more easily identify the heralds, because in the physical realm they're able to hide themselves and disguise themselves more easily than regular people.
Mhm.
Uh,
Uh,
Ivory, hold on. Defies. Sorry, I forgot the definition of the word defy.
you're good.
Ivory defies the ink spren, which are his spren, kind of like Yasna did with the church. So they kind of parallel themselves as rebels with
Mhm.
the teachings of whatever that they were brought up with. He also doesn't like cryptics. So ink spren and cryptic spren do not get along, which is interesting because I mean, we're starting to see now though, Yasna and Shallan don't necessarily get along, but they're Shallan's warded to Yasna. Um, and one order lived in death. That's got to be the Skybreakers.
Yeah, has to be.
And that was information she gleaned from Wit, which she says that she needs to get more of that information out to like Dalinar and
Yeah.
everybody. What
But of
she
course, she doesn't tell us what she learned. I'm like,
right.
darn it.
Don't tell us what you learned yet. So yeah, that gives us more get more information about Spren, um, more hints that we're going to Shadesmar.
Oh yeah, and she knows the secret that caused the recreants. But
Yes.
she's able to like compartmentalize it. But he says if people knew, it would cause another one. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious what that is.
Why didn't I make that note? That was in this chapter, and I didn't
Yeah,
make that note.
it's all good.
Maybe let me make that note real quick. You can move on to chapter 48 unless you have more.
No, want more Yasna? As long as this book is and how much I jokingly complain about it, there's always these POVs. I'm like, I want more POVs of Yasna. Yasna's cool. Um, Rhythm of Work. This is a Moash POV. Moash is basically being a troll carrying this large ass cart or moving it with a bunch of other people, including the poor parshman that Kaladin was with. It seemed like the punishment for that, unfortunately for them, was being slaves, and that they don't beat the human slaves, but they like whip and beat up and deride the parshmans, those parshmen, and it's very rough, very sad. He said that they harbored a false god. So if you think about how the fused are considered the Parshendi gods, false god would be a radiant, which makes sense, which is kind of cool. Basically, then he Boash goes and like beats the shit out of a overseer, and he's like, "Y'all should be better than us. Don't you see what the humans have done to you? You should be better than us," type things. And yeah, that's kind of he's kind of making his own bridge. They're very much a parallel to Kaladin.
Yes, and there were no punishments for him though.
Yeah.
Unlike Kaladin, who gets punished for all this shit, Moash is not.
Yeah, I think one of them is it then this where like one of the sperm was like, "Oh, you have much passion," um, which is
Probably either this one or the next
Yeah,
POV where he meets Leshwi.
yeah. Which is goes to show that odium is not of hatred, it's of passion, which is fun.
Yeah.
Hey, got
Yeah, that I mean that's what happens in the chapter. I really think this is where Moash basically becomes like unredeemable to me. Um
really.
it has yeah, he takes zero accountability for his actions. So he and here's an excerpt that proves that. It says, "What happened at the Shattered Plains wasn't my fault," he thought as he hauled the sledge. "I was pushed into it. I can't be blamed." These thoughts comforted him. He's
Yeah,
like, that wasn't my fault. Like, I can't be blamed for attempting to kill the king. Because I'm pretty sure he's talking about killing Elokar, trying to kill Elokar.
yeah, maybe.
Um, and if that's the case, then he totally had regency over himself in making those decisions,
Yeah,
or
which he,
agency over himself, not
yeah,
regency, but um, yeah.
yeah,
And he just so outside of that, he really he seems to be attracted to Voidbringers because they are like basically bereft of a class system within their race. Um, Yet he doesn't consider their war against the humans to be an evil racist thing.
yeah. He seems as like kind of a better way.
Yeah,
Kind
it's
of tear down the old society, build up a new one.
yeah.
Um,
But
I
he
like,
is very complicated. Um,
I like Moash.
he's very
Kind of,
complicated,
kind of like the anti-Kaladin, which is fun.
and I'm happy that you like Moash. We'll see how
Yeah,
that works out.
yeah. I mean, he might. I mean, I like him as a character. I don't like him as like a person. Even though right now he hasn't done anything all that bad. Um, in
Chapter 49.
chapter 49, Born Unto Light. This is another Dalinar Kulin flashback. 23 years ago. Uh, he's actually using some fireballs, but he can somewhat handle it because he's a crazy passion pleasure seeker man of odium. Mwahaha. Uh, he is like so bored. He is so bored. He's just like, why haven't I killed anybody? He's like in this gambling den. They're betting on like wrestling matches. And he's like, all right, this will be fun. I'll take my mind off of just being so bored. Um then uh
This is where we
uh
find out he has a son on the way.
yes, that's an Adolin. But they're talking more about the rift and like if they're gonna fight it, but he's like, no, Galar is gonna do it diplomatically, so he's not been dispatched that yet. Then it turns out that the wrestling match is canceled because one of the wrestlers is sick. Um, he's like, all right, he like takes off his shirt. It's like, all right, I challenge you. Let's go. And the wrestler is like, oh no. He's like all afraid of him. And he's like, what happened? He's like, well, do you remember last week? He's like, no, I was really messed up. He's like, well, you didn't kill anybody, but you like crippled like four guys. He's like, oh, okay. Uh, oops. Um,
Yeah.
then messenger comes and his Adolin is born.
Not
Uh,
just a messenger, his brother-in-law.
oh yeah, Toe. Oh, whatever. He hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Evie's in labor.
He has much toe to toe. Ha ha ha.
Haha.
Um, yeah, Evie is giving birth to Adolin. Um, we get uh we get him meeting his son and the naming process, which was fun.
Oh,
Uh,
hold on.
yeah,
Hold on. Speaking of names, I'm sorry this is a tangent,
I agree.
but this week I had a movie on the TV while I was working, and it was Aladdin. And I was I looked up and I was like, you know what? Agrabah kind of reminds me of the cities in Kolinar, the Kolinar and the war camps and just kind of whatever. And Aladdin, Kaladin. Like Aladdin is just Kaladin with a K. Kaladin can fly. Aladdin is on a
Like
carpet. Yasna and Jasmine and they're princesses. And
Scylla's basically Robin Williams, so yeah.
yeah, um, so like I wonder if he pulled that from that. And if that means at some point Yasna and Kaladin are gonna be shipped together.
I mean, I could see it. They're like diametrically opposed, so like you could have that like fun, romantic tension and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean it seems similar. Like
it
and
would.
I mean the clothing style in Aladdin and
It,
the Havas and stuff were like loose, flowy clothing. Like,
so Sadius was Jafar.
yes, maybe. Maybe Amaram is.
Maybe Amram. Yeah, Amram. Amram was trying to get with Yasna.
Yes.
Ooh, all right.
So maybe we can glean some secrets from Aladdin.
Yeah, we just need and then Disney will sue Brandon Sanderson. That'll be fun.
And that the Sultan was Gavilar.
Yeah, you might be on some.
Yeah.
We need a Disney movie of Stormlight.
All right,
Uh,
so
but yeah,
back to
but back
Dalinar
to
having a
that.
son.
Dalinar has a son. We get the naming conventions, which is fun.
Born unto light, which is what this
Born
name
into
means.
the Light, which is a pretty baller name. Um, we have more young Yasna. Like, oh, she was always kind of making trouble with him, which is funny. Um, but yeah, then he gets worried. Gavilar is worried that people are not that he's gone soft. Because he's negotiating with the Rift, and he's like, "All right, well, I need the Blackthorn again. You need to go up to Hard here, oh my
Her
god,
days.
her days, and like murk all these rebellious people there, and like secure our borders, and then go over to Yakoved and like take over some of the border skirmishes that are happening there, and just make sure everybody knows Blackthorn is still around. We will still mess people up." And he's like, "Yes, I got more," and he's very happy. And that's kind of it.
We also get hints here that Gavilar was searching for the words to become a radiant.
Yes,
Um, so maybe Gavilar, and I don't know why this thought it came back to me, but I had it the other day too. It's like maybe Gavilar actually did become a radiant, and he slipped into Shadesmar. So he's not dead. He pulled a Yasna, but
maybe. But well, they had his body because they didn't. Well, I don't know. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I like for him to be alive,
yeah, it'd be like it would be badass for him to just
but
come back and be like,
that's okay. And now I'm just because I haven't thought about this in a while. So, and we probably talked about it book one, but the oaths are what Galar was saying when find the most important word people can say. So
yes,
he wanted Dalinar to become a radiant, which he did. So yay, good old brother kept Oh, Jesus, talking is hard.
yes, it is.
Right, number 50.
Oh, and it's important to note in this chapter because there's the opposite in a later chapter that Dalinar just cannot get over how much joy he has for having a son.
Yes.
with Adolin. So
Yeah. Does seem to help him, which is nice. Chapter 50. Shash 37, which is a weird title. Um,
a weird high school.
title.
Oh, I was like, okay.
Oh, do we know what Ubrodi, where that is?
Aberdai.
Is that what that's an O?
Where?
It's in the epigraph. This is
Oh,
one
that's a
that
different planet. That's a different
okay.
system. I don't know where it is.
All right. I was just wondering if you knew what if that was like misborn or something. Because we have also instructed. This is where I looked it up. This is the one I looked up. We have also instructed you not to return to Oberdai. We have claimed that world, and a new master of our being is beginning to manifest there. She is young yet, and as a precaution, she has been instilled with an intense and overpowering dislike of you. So that sounded like a hint of another book, but I looked up that world, and it's not nothing. It's only been described in this.
Oh, the 17th shard only talks about
I
in,
looked up
in
that
this
title. I looked up Oberdai.
Oberdai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's cool. And I was like, what is that? And I looked it up and I was like, nothing.
Yeah. It's a planet.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So, I don't know. What planet that is.
It's Arrakis. Um, all right, we can move on to the chapter. That was the one thing I took from the epigraphs, and it turned out to be not a whole lot. Um, but it's a Dalinar Kholin chapter. He's flying in the air, with Kaladin. He's like lashed behind Kaladin. They're kind of testing out how to lash people while they fly so they can do the Kolinar expedition, but they're also traveling to their war camps. Um yeah,
It's been 10 weeks now,
yes, they've been
or
training.
50 days since they left the Shattered Plains. So,
Yeah, they've been traveling. It seems like his Dalinar's memories of traveling to the Night Mother are like confused because he's like, oh, I've never been on a ship before, but oh wait, I have to be on to go to the valley. So it seems like even though he's got his memories of Edie back, but they're still like coming in. Um, uh, they go to the war camps. This is where Navani is kind of talking about airships. So we're gonna get airships sometime, which is gonna be cool. Um, we get Queen Finn saying,
she
hmm?
Ivana also wants to set up a new kingdom in the war camps,
Yeah, and the work, yeah,
growing crops to help feed Urithiru. So a lot of farming operations and things like that.
yeah, because this is unclaimed land, which is interesting. Queen Finn, Span reads over and says yes to the proposal. And he sent her into a vision alone.
The vision of Ahariatum, or the
Yeah,
last desolation.
yes.
I have to keep
Um,
reminding myself of those terms and what they mean, because
yeah.
like I often get confused. Like when I read Recreants, I'm like, oh, what was that again?
Yeah. Hari Adam is I guess that's how you say it. That's the
Yeah.
prologue.
Yes.
The Recreants is when all the heralds left. So it took a while for the heralds to leave, which is interesting. Let's see what else. He runs. He's checking out. He's gonna go check on the herald because I think uh he just wants to go. He goes to the monastery and runs into
They
Kadash.
lost track of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they lost track of the Herald. We know who took the Herald out.
Amaram took him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost track of him, and then like yeah, I guess nobody looked and saw like a giant wall gone that a shark blade cut through, which is kind of funny. Um,
I found it interesting here that Dalinar um finds that he doesn't really know his way around the war camp without somebody guiding him.
yeah, which kind
I
of makes
mean,
sense.
he was there for 6 years,
Yeah,
but yeah, Kadash is with him and goes to the monastery as well.
yeah. Um, there, there's like talk about like the
Or
Dawn
rather,
Chain.
he didn't go with him.
He's in the
When they
monastery.
landed, he went there
Yeah,
before Dalinar did. So he's
yeah,
in.
yeah. They kind of talk about like his visions and like if they're true and like yeah, the Dawn Chant. The Dawn Chant. Transcribing the Dawn Chant kind of makes it so they're true, but he's like, where is it coming from? Is it it could be coming from Odium and stuff like that. So they're not trusting it, but even though they believe it, they're just having them. Uh, then there's like a long thing where he's like trying to get into a room, where he just goes around the back and he's like, oh, I should just there's a giant hole in the wall. All right. He finds the dart that the masked lady shot at him in the hair cult, full of poison. Um, let's see. It's blackbane poison. Um, and then he's like, "All right, Kaladin, we need you to go open up the Waygate in Thalen City. So that's what you're gonna do next, High Storm." That's kind of the chapter.
Yeah. And um this is where we find out, I think, that the the surge that he shares with the Stone Wards, it's different. Like I think the Stormfather says it's different. Like you're not ready for it, but even if you were, it's different than the Stone Wards.
Yeah, I think some of them are, even though they have the same surge, they're like go about it in different ways. Like I don't know if Renarin, even though he can heal, I don't know if he could do the plant stuff. And I don't know if he could do like that's probably why light weaving's so weird because it might have something to do with like seeing the future or like seeing visions or something.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't do the like actual Shallan light weaving stuff.
Yeah, I think the difference from what I gather, or my thoughts on the difference between the truth watching and the light weaving is Renarin can tell you without a doubt what you will become. Whereas Shallan can give you an idea of what you could be.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course change you into looking like something. Whereas I think Renarin is more apt to make you see your true potential.
That makes sense. All right. But yeah, it was a good chapter. Uh Move on to 51, unless you have
Yeah.
anything else.
Nope.
All right, we got full
We are
circle.
we are moving right along
Yes, we got this lots. This is a Moash chapter.
with some Shallan.
With some Shallan.
Very little
Uh,
Shallan.
yeah. He's moving the sled and stuff. They're going to Kolinar. Uh,
This shapes up a big Radiant versus Fused showdown in Kolinar here.
yeah. Um, he sees like Fuse on horseback, so he thinks that they're probably different types of Fuse. Um,
Makes
uh,
sense.
makes sense. We've heard the songs, so which and we know that there are more types of radiance. So,
I think
um,
this is the first time it's one of these later Moash chapters where he refers to the purple glow as void light.
yeah, I think Brandon said that a couple of times in other stuff.
Okay.
I think that's just like a nomenclature that's being shared, but it might be first in Moash. Um, yeah, they're like they're farming and stuff. They're keeping the strong and they're sending the weak to Kolinar to kind of overburden the city with refugees, which is pretty
Will
messed
help
up.
their siege.
Yeah, just help their siege. I like that all the cities like Kolinar has a kind of like a dead zone between it and other cities. So if you siege, you have to like you can't really you can siege and like you have to retreat for high storms. So like every high storm kind of breaks the siege almost, which is a fun little detail. Um, he's like he talks to some like one of the fuse. He's like, "Yeah, I killed. I'm sorry, I killed one of your guys." And he's like, "You killed a you can't kill one of us. Like we just kind of respawn. We got cheat codes on." And he's very funny enough, in a full circle, he's brought to a lumberyard, and he just sits down and laughs. And yep,
Yeah,
uh,
he's told that he's been assigned to ladder duty
yep,
later on for the
which
for the
is
siege.
running at and getting shot at by arrows, and he just laughs.
Uh,
Uh,
then we cut to
um,
Shalon.
Shalon, uh, we get another. She's reading another Moray's letter. Um, basically, he's talking about Isna. I guess that's how you say her name. Like she's kind of
Ishna.
Ishna. Uh, she's kind of like a low time spy. Kind of no threat to her, and that she's allowed to continue to work with Shalon, and she's like, oh no, maybe I am. I'm slowly joining them against my will. What's happening? Um, then she kind of goes up to Elokar and is like, hey Elokar, I should totally join you in your quest. And he's like, well, I couldn't get my uncle to do that. And he's like, well, guess what? You're the king. You should do it. And I got a bunch of spies. And how an infiltration mission, spies would be really useful. And Elikar's like, yeah, you're right. All right, let's do it. And yeah. Um,
She leaves there with the royal request, and Pattern is buzzing with happiness. Um,
yep,
but also,
she's
she
lying to herself.
she has been um, attaching illusions to spheres, and
Oh
then
yeah.
the sphere will power the illusion without the need of Shalon being around. Um, Similar to a Fabrial. And so she's essentially creating batteries for her portable illusions. And she mentions this should be able to let her build that map and have it stay around while she's not there.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah,
But yeah,
fun
that's
stuff.
fun stuff. Yeah, chapter 52, After His Father. This is a Del
Father,
Father. This is a Dalinar flashy Becky chapter. This is
I don't want to marry her.
Father. This is 18 and a half years ago. Um, he is
He's
in
been
a
in war for
he's been in
4 years.
war for 4 years,
A long time.
4 glorious years. He crushed the Hardasians. He's pretty happy about that. Um, and now he's fighting in Yakved. Um, then it turns out Evie is there. She's been living in Kolinar for the past few years. He's like, "Why are you here? I was just happy being in war and killing a bunch of people, and now my wife's here, my kids are here. Ugh,
My wife.
my wife." But she's like, "Hey, all the other wives are with their husbands at war because they need us to read."
I want to be
And
more Alethi.
yeah, I want to be more Alethi. Um, then Renarin has been born. He's like young.
And,
Um,
and Dalinar was like, what the fuck kind of name is that? Like,
yeah, I must have been really drunk when she named him because I would never allow that to happen.
Yeah. It's like it basically means born unto his father in her language, but in Alethi, it's more like one who was born unto himself, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Um,
But
yeah,
this is
but
where he doesn't feel that same excitement about Renarin for the first time as he did with Adolin.
yeah. Uh, yeah. And he does a cool thing where he like summons his blade for Adon, and he's like, "I'm gonna win me one of those one day." He's like, "I'll win you three because I'm the Blackthorn." It's cool. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, chapter 53.
It is setting up that his wife is with him when she probably dies because we're at 18 and a half years ago, so I'm guessing I don't know when she died. Do we know the time frame when she died?
No, I don't.
I'm guessing it's fairly soon. Like probably in the next 4 years, I would say if she dies. But we shall see. We still got more
It was
flashback
more than
chapters.
6 years ago, so
Yeah.
it's a thing. There's
Yeah.
a
Well,
12-year span that's there, so
yeah. But it doesn't seem like Renarin and them grew up with her that long. So probably before they were 10, I would guess she'd be dead.
yeah.
But we'll see.
Chapter
Such
53.
such a twisted cut. Hello, cat. This is another Yasna chapter. A lot of POVs this section. Um, she's reading about the history of Yakaved. Um, it's like a story about a king who like kills the entire family, and then he's eating alone, and with he kills them with poison because they keep trying to assassinate him, and he's eating alone and chokes to death because nobody's there to uh save him. So that was fun. Um, Renard, then she's goes to, or she's may still be there. She's in the room with the giant Fabrial. Um, she's there's Renarin. She's yeah, she's kind of thinking about if anyone like rebellion within the family. She's been assassinating people for many years, as we saw in the prologue of book two, that she has assassins and stuff. But she's like, maybe I may have to worry about my own family. Um, because Dalinar is basically usurped Elhokar, who's your brother. It's all very strange. Then uh yeah. Let's see what else happened. And then they have some other stuff. Then mainly Amram shows up and he's like wanting to talk with her in private and stuff, and she basically eviscerates Amram. It's real rough. Uh Amram almost summons a shard blade, but she's like, I'm gonna turn you into smoke because I'm cool. Um yeah. Yeah, she insults his mother. Shallan is very excited about all the insults that Yasna used. It's really funny. Um, and she's like, then Shallan is like, oh yeah, Elhokar said I should go with them on the expedition because blah blah. And she's like, maybe I'm gonna try to talk him out of it. And then Renarin basically unlocks the audiobook of all the library. It pops up all these hidden compartments that have these jewels that like are cut. They're basically vinyl records. So yeah, they, they found the secret stash of the library of Irithiru.
Yeah, yeah, there was some other information that I
Yeah,
had written down here.
yeah, it probably was.
Um, so like one, Yasna had set up a span read and shorthands the notes from the conversations in the room. Um, like she's lip reading people. Um,
Yeah, I skipped over her like little friend group, which was fun to read.
Yeah, so like Ethan has been tracking who she thinks is Nail. Wit apparently has given Yasna the descriptions of all the heralds. Um, Navani and Shallan are apparently discussing wedding plans. Renarin, she thinks Renarin is either talking to himself or his spren. And then, of course, Ethan has been collecting drawings of all the spren of different orders and says the Truth Watcher's spren looks like a light on a surface after it reflects through something crystalline. Um, so like a starburst effect.
Yeah, which is cool.
Um, and she, of course, is trying to figure out what's wrong with Renarin.
Yep. And then Renard's like, guess what? I have all these hidden compartments and I found vinyl records.
Oh yeah, they got the woman Yoki is known to the world as a dynamic woman of distinctive philosophy, but was actually a pin name for a pot-bellied man in his 60s who ran a pastry shop in Thalen City.
Yep. And he wants to go to Urithiru.
Yes.
Which, yeah, it was fun seeing some of Yasuo's friends. And yeah, good stuff. I'm curious what's on the vinyl records.
So am I.
All right, chapter 54, An Ancient Singer's Name. This is a Moash chapter.
So Justin,
Hmm.
how do you feel about being like 40% of the way through a book and you're at chapter 54? Or being 47% of the way through a book and 630 pages in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to it because I've read, Wheel of Time, and I've read a bunch of other stuff, but it is a lot. Like I said, for a lot, like this could be edited down a lot. I probably could edit out a couple hundred pages of this book, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah,
But it is very, very big.
it is very big. That's what she didn't say.
Yes. And then, I mean, the next one's huge, and Winds and Truth is like a billion pages too. So
It's I think it's definitely the longest um audiobook. It's like 68 hours.
crazy.
It's 15 hours longer than Rhythm of War.
That's insane. Yeah, we're gonna take like a year to do that one. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. Um, and it's even long.
It's 62 hours and 42 minutes. It's 5 hours longer than Rhythm of War. So.
Yeah, this is yeah. Actually, chapter 57, if you count the three interludes, um,
Yeah.
as chapters. Yeah, so it's a lot.
Yeah.
And
All right.
like in plot wise, not a lot has happened yet, but it's all fun stuff.
Right.
Which is what I was feeling in the first part, but this part has made it feel better. Because like
Yes, it has.
they're actually working towards goals and stuff now, which is good. I haven't felt the drag like I was the first part.
Right.
But yes, Moash. He's working. He's building ladders and stuff for the siege. Um, he's with the Parshindi that Kaladin was with. They do not like him, but he's like, whatever. I don't like myself, so we're even. Um, yeah. Then he gets approached by a fused to talk to Beatty Leshwi, who is the one that he killed, but we find out later. Then he's basically shot up into the sky. He does see one fuse just laying on the ground, just like being all crazy. So a lot of them are insane, which is fun. She says that he has much passion, and that his name Moash was once a Parshindi name. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah, he was spared because he showed much passion, which is what Odium likes because he's passionate. Um, and he's and helping the lesser singers have kind of gotten him privileges now. He doesn't, and she asked if like he is resentful that he had to give up his shards, and he's like, I didn't deserve them anyway. Uh, so he doesn't want to rule; he just wants vengeance. Um,
He doesn't want to rule. He just wants what?
vengeance. He just wants revenge against
Oh yeah.
the king and all that other stuff. Um,
But at the same time, he's trying not to hate Kaladin.
yeah, makes sense. And then he goes back and he makes Bridge 5. He's like, all right, Parshendi, I know how to fight. I can teach you how to use the spear. Maybe you won't die. We can be Bridge 4.5. And yeah, I'm new Kaladin. What's up?
All right, so a couple questions.
Yeah.
There was one fuse that he saw that created a saw from the carapace. Um, do you think that's their spren blade or is it a surge power?
Uh, I saw it as like a surge power, but it could be a spread blade.
That's one question.
I figured there was one that could like just manipulate their bodies like whatever they wanted, which would be cool. Like kind of shapeshift almost.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Um, so could Moash become a bondsmith? Because he was talking about uniting the Parshendi.
Could be. You could bond one of the unmade,
But
which would be cool.
yeah, I think bondsmiths are very rare.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be that rare if there's an order of them. Like there's probably like 30 to the 1,000 windrunners or whatever. Because I mean, otherwise there wouldn't be an order of them. It's just one dude being like, "This is my order. I'm just a guy." Like I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I can see them being more rare than the rest, but not like there's only one at a time or something. But yeah, if bondsmiths just bond whatever spren that is not one of the other nine, that's how they like become a bondsmith. Like the bondsmith of miscellaneous spren, then he could become he could become the champion of Odium. Because we don't really have any other known person unless like Leshwi on their side if that happens. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll see. We don't know too much about bondsmiths yet.
yeah. We just know they have adhesion and something else.
Yes, the coaxial cable,
Yes, coaxial cable.
the hard axial transponder.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I made
All
up
right.
words too, Brandon Sanderson.
You should be a writer. All right, we have chapter 55, Alone Together. This is a Relaine chapter. Um, he's he's on the Shattered Plains. He's in Narak, their old home. Um, and he's being a sad boy. He's being a Kaladin. Because like all of his people are dead. He doesn't know about the group that ran away with the Eshonai's like soldiers or whatever. Which we don't know about them. Hopefully they're still alive. He is sad because he's probably the last listener alive. Um, he's watching them all like train and stuff, and they're they ask him like, "What do you think like the tactics of the fused are about and stuff?" And he's like, I have no idea if they're my gods. I didn't want to know anything about them. And it's uncomfortable. It's very some racism going on. Um, then yeah, Elaine is there. Oh, that's when they have the funny discussion with Renarin, how it's so feminine, and he's like asking, and Calvin asks about Drahe, and they're like, no, he's like the manliest among us because he only likes men and stuff like that. And Calvin's like, all right, I wasn't trying to say anything, I just was saying stuff, I was just trying to say stuff. Um, and Verlaine's like, yeah, it must suck to be human where you're stuck in mate format at all times. Um, and then uh, uh Kaladin like does some platitudes like, yeah, I know what you mean. He's like, do you really? And he's like, and Kaladin's like, no, I actually don't know what you're going through. And then he's like,
Come
gonna
tell me.
tell him, yeah, so tell me, just gonna tell him. We don't get to see that yet, and so hopefully that'll be in the next part.
Yeah.
But yeah, good chapter.
Yeah, it was a good chapter. So interesting things of note is Relaine does think that humans can hear some of the rhythms and could learn to attune to more of them. He brings up the idea of emotion spren, and thinks that they serve the same role for humans as the rhythms do for the Proshendi, which makes sense. So, especially after we learn more about Odium in the next two chapters. Um, he also fears. I mean, he feels like an outcast, but he also fears what might happen if he can breathe in Stormlight. So he's like, okay, if the others transformed in the Everstorm, or not even in the Everstorm, in the High Storm, then if he breathes in Stormlight, then am I going to transform into something that's going to betray Bridge 4?
Yeah,
Um, Rock comes out, Rock also talks to Relaine and points out that many have expressed that they don't feel like they belong in Bridge 4 anymore. Um, and so he's like, well, you know what? Maybe that's what makes us Bridge 4 is that we feel like we don't belong anywhere and that we're alone. So maybe we can be alone together. And that's what bonds us.
yes.
So, all right. Chapter 56.
Chapter 56.
Always with you.
That is correct. This is a Delinar, POV. Um, so Dalinar brings Yasna and Navani into the Recreants, into the vision of the Recreants. Without the aid of a high storm, you can just kind of do that now, which is pretty cool. Um, they're trying to
I think he has to be touching them though, right?
I think so, yeah. Um, they're trying to figure out like where this is, where the fever keep is and stuff like that. And like what time period and stuff. Um, then we get Gox is there as well. Um,
He's tired of going into these visions.
yeah, and he basically tells Donner is like, hey, I don't really have power. Like I'm just kind of a puppet. Like they just kind of picked me because I came back to life when I died, and they were worried about the assassin away. And but Donar is like, nah, I mean, you have more power than you think, son, and stuff like that. Trying to give him a pep talk. Um, then then basically the vision, everybody goes away, but the vision does not fade, and something is blocking the Stormfather from him. And he sees this like old man, and he thinks it's honor, and he goes and kneels with them. And he's like, "Oh yes, my son, it is I, Odium." Dun
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 dun.
dun dun.
Yeah. Um, that was a big reveal at the end. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, so so Dalinar is talking to Gox because he after he sees in the vision that he's like he's frightened of it because the Radiants gave up their shards.
Mm.
He's like, oh my God, they're evil, and Dalinar is like, no, they weren't evil. They just failed Roshar, and he gets a agreement from Stormfather on that matter.
Yep.
And so at that point, Lift, or no,
No.
Lift had told Gox that she doesn't trust Dalinar just because of how righteous he acts. I don't think she's in the vision yet. I mean, she could be in the vision, but she hasn't shown up in this vision. She shows
Yeah,
up in the next one.
I think she's has been in this vision. She's just been hiding.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She hasn't popped herself up yet.
Yeah, 'cause she does
Um,
that next chapter.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
chapter 50.
Yeah. Good thing. Good chapter. Uh, Shocking reveal at the end. Setting up for the end
Oh,
of. Hmm?
so more specifically, they were talking about like how little steel was in the weapons and it was mostly bronze. Um,
Yeah, it was all soulcast stuff too.
yeah, all soul cast. It's about like Yasna thinks it's like 2,000 years ago and like 2,000 years after Harry Adam. So somewhere halfway from the prelude to now.
Yeah. Which is cool. Yes. So we get a chapter 57, the last chapter of this part. Passion is the name of it. Passion. This
French. It
is
was written in French.
yes. It was really weird having to translate it back to English.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just had a chapter totally in French, but it's fine. I still read it. Dalinar Kholin is the POV. It picks up basically right off uh, the last chapter. Odium's like, all right, let's have a talk, and Dalinar's like freaking out.
The vision is continuing too. It's like
Yeah,
all the people, the regular people, killing each other trying to get the shard blades,
yeah, yeah,
which was confusing to me at first. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, oh, okay, it's going, the vision is happening, and he's watching this around while they're having this conversation.
yeah. He calls Odium a monster and stuff, but Odium's like, I am not Odium. I am passion. I am like he lists all these things of like he's the thrill of battle, the greatest love, blah 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 blah. And he's like, um, you know, like honor and Niall was trying to take all that away and just leave all like lifeless husks. But blah blah blah. He wants to kill cultivation as well, but he has not done that yet because he's tied to certain rules. And Dalinar does do the fun thing where he's like, "Well, you should just go away." Then he's like, and Odium's like, "Is that an offer? Do you offer to set me free from my oaths?" And Dalinar's like, "No, I didn't mean that. I don't know. I almost like doomed the world or did something fun." Um,
Which Odium was like, oh, don't worry. You can't just say it and it happens. You actually have to have intent.
yeah.
Whatever intent is, because it's capitalized.
Ooh. Um, yeah, he's got a passion. Um, yeah, unlike honor and cultivation being only interested in oaths and transformation, good or bad. Uh, yeah, yes, why they know to abandon their oaths, but he does not tell us because we just can never know that. Downer offers the challenge of champions, but he's like, not yet. I'm not desperate enough yet. We'll do that later. Um, yeah, he's confident that Dalinar is going to release him. Interesting. Dalinar is a child of Odium. Um, and then basically he's like, "Why are you showing me this old man? Show me your true form." And he's basically turns into the sun. and like of all the passion and everything just overwhelms his mind. He's a Cthulhu monster. It's really cool. Um, he disappears. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
I took it as Dalinar was like, "Oh, I see you," and Odium was like, "Oh, you think you see me?" And he
Yeah,
smiled and transformed. Was like, "Oh, I'll show you what I am."
yeah, yeah. He is, all the passion in the world distilled into one thing, and
It kind of reminded me of Grendel in Wheel of Time, where he just like overpowers them with stimulation.
yeah,
And he's like, "No, I can't take this anymore." It's like, huh, that was just a
yeah,
taste of my power.
yeah. It reminded me of like all sorts of biblical stuff, like not biblical, but like Cthulhu and then the actual Bible, where like you can't look at the God or else you like disintegrate because it's so crazy. Yeah, so it was fun. Um, and then Lift like pops up behind a rock and she's like, "Holy shit, that was crazy." That dude was scary. All right, guess what? Make me a bunch of really good food. I'll see you at Erythera. That's right. It's really cool.
Yeah. And this is where Odium like confirms to Dalinar that he has vidit that Night Watcher is cultivation.
Yeah.
And he didn't know that before because he was like, "Oh, she something something since the last time you met her." And he's like, "Met her? I haven't met her." Um, and yeah, it's just great to see the big bad evil guy. Also, there is definitely something up with Lift, and I feel like she's going to be very integral to defeating Odium.
You see that?
There's
Um,
something there.
yeah. The only thing I can think of is since she's like partly in the cognitive realm, she can just kind of go into the visions that are in the cognitive realm or at least adjacent to it. That's kind of how she's doing it, which is
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
Oh, right. We did it. Um, the book is over. The podcast, no, I'm joking. We got the
This
interludes.
is episode 75. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but
The last lot of episodes.
yeah.
We get the POV of one Kaza. Kaza.
Kazaa.
So there's a bunch of illegal downloads going on. And old, like, yeah, old meme videos, anime music videos are being downloaded, lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Good old Kaza.
Lincoln Park with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, yeah. We just dated ourselves for all the, young kids that are definitely listening to this podcast.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them.
All two of them.
Yes. She is a soul caster. She is on a ship.
She's from Leah 4.
Yeah. Uh, she was a noble woman there. That got made into a soul caster, which is fun. Um, they're going to Anima. I think I'm saying that right.
Akina.
Yeah, which is in Anima, right?
In Amy.
Or
Yeah.
Amy, I am. Cat, stop. Oh my gosh, she loves sitting on the escape key. It's so annoying. She is like basically turning to smoke. It's really crazy.
Is this a
You,
disease or is it from the soul casting itself?
but it seems like it's the soul casting turning stuff. Because we've seen like soul casters that were turning people in like they had like emerald eyes and shit. So it seems like whatever you're using it for, you eventually start becoming it. Like something of like talking to the things and making it is like talking to yourself and making yourself some of it, which is pretty crazy.
Huh.
Or something like that. I don't know. They're going to like a forbidden island for that has a lot of treasure, but supposedly has the cure for her affliction. Um, they board for dinghies, which is a fun word. There's like basically spikes all around the island that's preventing ships from getting close. She still casts them
What did you say was a fun word?
dinghies.
Oh, dinghies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun word.
Quit playing with your dinghy, son.
Yes. She soul casts in the smoke, and each time she almost becomes smoke, but she's like, "No, I'm a person. I'm not a smoke. I'm a real man." Um, and then they make it to the shore. There's a bunch of stuff, but everybody's like passing out from poison. And then there's like the cook is there. Um, and there's a secret that could end the world. And then she dies.
Yeah,
It was cool.
my thoughts on here was a fun chapter, but what the fuck happened?
I mean,
Like
that's
it's a really cool like visual chapter. Um and I was like, man, have we heard I felt like I'd heard of Akina before. And it was actually in Way of Kings. It's one of the perfectly symmetrical cities that Capsule spoke of with Shallan in Way of Kings.
yeah.
So like, what do you think's on the island? You think it's the honor blades?
No, we know where the honor plates are. They're in Shin.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, that's what the heralds have said and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I
You think
mean,
the secret of the recreants is here?
maybe. I mean, Amia blew up for a reason, right? Uh, so has to be something with that and whatever.
Yeah, I mean the spikes around it were soul cast to protect it from people
Yeah.
getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a portal to another planet or something.
Yeah, maybe so.
Or maybe there's like a third or fourth shard on Roshar or something.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. I don't know. But the cook knows something.
Yeah,
Uh,
the cook did know something.
yeah. But yeah, it was cool. I the, the Soulcasters are an interesting people and stuff that we haven't gotten really anything about. Um, I would like more of them. They're cool. Maybe May Eldar will be a Soulcaster. She'll be something. All right. Anyway, it was cool. I liked it better than the lighthouse one last part. Uh, it was even if nothing comes of it, it was a cooler short story than the other one.
Yes.
Uh,
Teravangian?
yeah, 1-5 we get or I-5 we get Teravangian. Teravangian's like super smart today. Uh, like not quite diagram creation level, but pretty smart.
But didn't I tell you that he would do this when he was smart, where he would make them think that he wasn't as smart as he was?
Yeah, which is smart of you. Ha ha ha.
And you were like, well, no, because when he's smart, he would know not to do that. But because he wrote the rules when he was smart. But no, he wouldn't, because he would want to pass judgment and make decisions.
Yeah.
He
Um.
would trick them into thinking.
Yeah. 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 Um. So he's smart. He's like doing stuff with the diagram. He's like taking it apart and like finding that these sentences actually fit with this and blah 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 blah. Because it's like weird shorthand and like he did numbers of words or something instead of writing them down. It's very confusing.
Yeah, he
Um,
assigned words to certain numbers and then wrote numbers out, and so like now he remembers what the words for those numbers were.
so I'm guessing that's what the 0 1 1 0 5 6.
Yes.
Oh, that was actually like a sentence or whatever.
I wonder, did Brandon actually put that cipher in one of these books?
I don't know. Maybe. Um, it's really funny. He's just like kids are singing hymns. He's like, "Go kill those kids." And everybody's like, "What?" Uh, they're-
Agitasia was like, what?
yeah, they're like,
Excuse me?
um,
I did like when he called like he keeps using terms and stuff that people don't understand. He's like, "Are you Oos critic?" And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, have you been drinking salt?" And so, and I was like, "What the fuck does this mean?" But later on, like Agitator explained that. And I thought it was cool. It referred to a poem um, from 1700 years ago. She was used. So Uskri was used in following centuries as an example of acting without information, though the term eventually came to simply mean stupid. The salt seems to refer to the fact that she drowned herself in the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, he does a lot of stuff. He basically ends up coming to the conclusion that for a contingency plan, he can't kill Dalinar, but he wants to basically discredit Dalinar and take over as the ruler of Irithyru and like save the world basically. But he doesn't. They basically, long story short, he's not gonna kill Dalinar, but like kind of co-opt his movement. Um, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, we had the initial explanation of the Dalinar paradigm from the Catechism of the Headboard, backside third quadrant.
yep.
It's one of the things you loved right there.
It was fun.
Yeah. Um, yeah, he does mention that again, that he's like, man, stupid people should be kept illiterate. Like, we don't need dumb people reading. Like,
Yeah,
can we pass a law for this right now?
yeah, he's a monster. Um, so then last one, interlude by six, is a Vinley interlude. Um, she's with the Everstorm and eight others, including her former lover, Demid. They've been chosen to basically become fused. Ulim is there coaching them. We still don't really know what exactly Ulim is, if he actually is like a passion sprint or a sprint of redemption, like he said. Um, but they need to open up themselves to their soul, so that and not have doubt, or else it could be like Eshna, where they could like eject the soul. Um, she screams, yeah, she is like, she's like, this is not how it should be, blah 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 blah, like freaking out. And she gets one saying that this one is mine. And she gets, but it's not a fused Parshendi Spren.
It's
It's
not one of the greater Sprin.
it's something different. She's in a new form. They are speaking in a different language, probably ancient Parshendi. Um, some are crazy. The mid, they're all taken over by their new personas. She starts kind of freaking out, like this is not how it was told that was going to happen. She's been kind of lied to and used. Um, but yeah, she wants the mid back, but not even Odium. His like entire being is just dead. Um, and he says that since that they rejected one of that Spren, and she's keeping her mind that Odium has a plan for her, which is fun. Um, and she sees that little ball of light again. That was like that was near Eshonai's body, and she hides it away from the fuse.
Yep. And that's what the chapter picture
Yep.
is.
So
It is no longer Eshonai with a shard blade. It is
Finley.
Vinley with the. She's also, so it's also known that Vinley is in a new form
Yeah.
that's similar to Nimble form, but it's a form of power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So she's definitely gonna become a radiant, which is gonna be fun. Because that is a weird Spren that's sticking close to her. I'm calling it now. She's probably gonna become a radiant. It's gonna be fun.
yeah,
She's gonna have to deal with having killed her sister and brought around the Voidbringers, which is gonna be cool.
Yeah. So this is cool. Um, that's
That's the end.
that's the end of that part. So I think we are going to cover the entire part three and the interludes that are after it for the next one. So, however long that episode is, um,
Yeah, we get Dalinar, Shallan, we get Kaladin back again, and we get Adolin. That's it. No
yeah,
more, no more Bridgeford.
no more Bridge 4. But so in
No,
the
no more
book,
Yasna either.
yeah, Dalinar, Shallan, Kaladin, and Adolin. So it seems like this is going to be the Kolinar.
Yeah,
Um,
expedition. Yeah,
so the first image in here is this folio, and so the ebooks, the Kindle, it actually names, I guess in the it names it in the table of contents in these books. So this was contemporary Thalen female fashion, and on the Kindle book, the ebook, it's in color.
yeah, that's cool.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pretty Thalen chick right there, almost like Queen Finn. She's got those white
crazy eyebrows. Yeah,
white eyebrows that go down and hang around her ears. So
dude, part four, we get a billion people.
yeah, I saw that.
That's gonna be fun.
I have what? There's a bookmark in here. Wonder what chapter that's on. Oh, true labor begins. Oh, I was reading this book when I flew to Columbia, South Carolina, uh,
Nice.
to bring Thomas back to Louisiana. So, yes, that is the end of part two of Oathbringer. And next week, we will cover the entirety of part three plus the interludes at the end of it. So, look forward to possibly the Kolinar expedition.
Oh yeah,
Um, but maybe it's the Thalen. I mean, he has to go to Thalen City first.
true. Yeah.
So, um,
Hopefully, we get lift and Urithyr. That'd be fun.
yeah, have her sliding around all those tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just driving Dalinar crazy.
eating everybody's foods. So, all right, Justin. Yeah, it's late. I am tired.
Yeah.
Um, so I will see you next week. If you've made it this far, like, subscribe, follow, share, leave a review, a rating, whatever you want. All of those things or none of those things. It's up to you. Visit our sponsor at mudcatwhiskers.com. Don't forget to use code paperweights at checkout, and we will see you next week.